Hey everybody. Sorry for a little late. It was honestly totally my fault. I forgot that I was handling it today. But anyways, we're here. We're alive and we are fabulous. And as always, you know us, you love us. We are the Melanated Council and we stream ideally Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and everything else in between and not in between, I guess the margins. And yeah, if you're watching us and it's live, which it is now, then that's the time that we stream. And as always, like, subscribe, and enjoy the show. Yeah, once again, I apologize for being late. But as you know, it's October. It is getting a little chilly out, even down here in South Florida, which is odd because we usually don't start getting cool weather until I don't know when. I don't know, never. But it's actually getting cooler and as you all know, well, mostly you guys up north, you know that it's cuffing season as the kids and, like adults that are still young like me say. Um, so yeah, like this month we're going to be talking about like dating, hookup culture, cuffing season, sex and all that. But as always, we like to kind of start out, just like slowly getting into the topic before we like to just kind of, catch up and talk. And yeah. Um yeah, sorry, like kind of out of sorts, but yeah. And so let's get into it. What has been going on with me? Oh, I saw the movie The Woman King last night with some friends. It was a really good movie. It was super good. One of the characters, I'm not really spoiling anything cuz this is just how this particular actress looks. I can't remember her name, but she plays this character named Naui. And in the movie, she's 19 years old. But in real life, she is 31 years old, which makes me feel absolutely fantastic. Hey, Chad. How's it going? It's good to see you. But yeah, so the actress, she's actually 31 years old in real life. And like, and I knew this, like, prior to watching the movie. So like after the movie, you know, me and my friends were like, outside the theater talking about it. And one of my friends was like, yeah, like that girl who was like 19, like she looked like she was like 16. Like it was just like weird how, she was interacting with some characters and it was like that she felt like the actress was like 16. I was like, actually she's 31. So she's, like very age appropriate for, the things that, she was doing in the movie. But, that just kind of gave a whole new level to Black Don't Crack. Hey, Ron, I didn't get a chance to introduce you. Hey.
Hold on. Here's what you can do. Pull me back.
Okay. I'm gonna introduce Ron. All right. Pretend you didn't see who that was. Uh, so speaking of people who are, you know, older than they look, yeah. Like this person, you know him, you love him. He looks like he was your best friend in high school. He looks like he's still in high school. please, everyone give a round of applause and a warm welcome to our very own Coach Ron.
Let's go. Yes, I could still be your kid in high school all over again, and I would
Yeah,
take it. I'll take it.
yeah. No, like, so Ron, I was just talking about how I went to go see The Woman King last night with some
Hmm.
friends, and one of the actresses, she plays a 19-year-old in the movie, but she's 31 in real life. And but like when you see
Wow.
her in the movie, like she looks like she's like 19. Like that's like it wasn't even like, oh, they're pushing it kind of thing. No, like she looks like you would think like, oh, maybe she's like 24 at the oldest, and like they just made her look a little young. It's like, no, she is 31, which made me feel fantastic because I am at that age where I'm like, when people think I'm younger, I feel I take it as a compliment. I mean,
Yes.
so when I was in my like early mid 20s, like, like 23, 24, 25 sort of thing, people always thought I was older, and it was aggravating. Because I was like, is it how I dress? Is it how I talk? Is it, I don't know. I think it was like my glasses. Hey, Mish. Yes, hello,
Hey.
you fellow youth as well. You lovely youth. Yes, we're all
Yes.
here.
You lovely. You.
Yes, like we're all here, just young and beautiful. Um, but yeah, like no, like I can never forget. Like this is like fucking traumatic for me. Like I was leaving Trader Joe's, and this was like when like Trader Joe's like had just come down to South Florida, and this was probably like one yes, this was one like I don't know if this was like the first Trader Joe's like in the air. I don't know. Anyways, so like Trader Joe's was like relatively new, and I'm coming out of Trader Joe's, and I think they were in the like in a car. Like this young white girl may have been like in college or like high school. I don't know. She goes, "Are you so and so's mom?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she was like, "Oh, never mind." And that just fucking broke me. Like, just like I was like, "What was it like?"
Mhm.
Oh man. Like I was like, was it how I was walking? I was like, was it like my body? Is it like my glasses? I blame the glasses. I don't know, like I had like more like smaller rectangular glasses, but I feel like that was kind of the style
Mhm.
a couple of years ago. Like these like bigger frame like these bigger glasses have been kind of, I think, more modern. I don't know, but yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it was just like my I don't know. Maybe they were just totally wrong. They let's just do that. So, if there's one thing that is not totally wrong, is this next person that I am bringing to the stream. I was gonna say the stage, but I guess it's a stage too. The stage stream.
It's a stage.
Um,
It's a stage.
you know this person as well. You also love this person equally as much as Coach Ron, but not anymore. Just like exactly the same. This person is it's like both of your children, exactly the same. You love them exactly the same. Like, but this person is, how should I describe them? They are
Smooth.
they are the reason for global warming because they are just too hot. They are just
Let's go.
too just they will definitely burn down the house, and they are the reason why the roof is on fire. Give it up for our very own Toby, the Miss Sex Education of Toby. I don't I don't know why I don't see his picture. Like Toby's.
Wait a
Can you see his
minute.
video? I can't see his video. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Oh man. No, you did not just go there, Toby. No, you didn't just go there.
Yes. Oh, let's see. Something. Oh no, Toby's computer is lagging. Oh no, he might have to use
Oh.
his. He might have to use his work computer, which is,
Mm.
just the perfect month for him to use his work computer. But he he knows his job better than we do. So, and yeah, Toby,
Right.
you're lagging hard. Like you just took off your hoodie. I don't know how long you actually did that ago. Yeah, Toby, we can't hear you.
Mm-mm. No, sir. No
Yeah.
bueno.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like what could be. Yeah, I feel like you might need a new laptop. How old is your laptop? Yeah, but Toby's looking like he put a photo in front of his webcam to fool us. That's true. Yeah.
Oh man. Not the photo.
Alrighty. Well, uh, yeah, I'm gonna remove Toby from the stream. Toby, just sit back and get yourself situated,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely join us when you can. But yeah, I was pretty much just finishing up what I was saying. Like, yeah, I didn't really like do too much over the weekend, but I saw the movie The Woman King. It was my first time going to a theater in a long time. And like what's sad is like the movie theater is literally like we went to was like literally right up the street. It's like a 7-minute drive, if that.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a great theater too. But like,
Nice.
and I always like consider like I don't mind going to see a movie by myself, but I always just like forget to because I just never know what's out. I do want to see the movie Bros though with I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's like Billy Etchner. So it's like a gay rom com,
Mm.
and it looks funny. Like there's a lot of like great actors in there and stuff like that. So it seems like it's like really really funny. So I might go see that in theaters if hopefully I remember because I always just forget and I get distracted by just watching my own TV.
Mm-hmm.
But it is fun and it's like a great experience to actually go see a theater. Yes, exactly. He is Billy on the Street, where he like goes and just like interviews people. I want to say it's in New York, but yeah. So definitely, I do want to go see that. But yeah, like before The Woman King, the last movie I saw in theaters was, I think it was The Eternals, that Marvel Comics movie,
Mm-hmm.
with
Okay.
like Angelina Jolie and things like that. There was a lot of
Okay.
cool. There was a lot of cool characters. Like there was the two characters from Game of Thrones, like Kit Harington and I want to say his name was Richard Madden. And what was funny was like the actress Gemma Chan played a character named Cersei. And I was like, what the hell is this? It's like it just feels like Game of Thrones, but not.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Like I had fun. Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only am I up, I am up, up, down, down, left, right, BA. So
That's a finisher move.
exactly. It's yeah. Finish him. No,
There you go.
pun intended, especially for this month.
Oh man, I love it. I
But
love it.
yeah, so Ron, tell me about what's been going on with you.
Sheesh. Ah, where do I begin? Um, Saturday was good, but not good.
Mm.
To say the least. And don't want to go into super much details. Let's just say that the football our football team we lost. We
Mm,
lost. But we lost to a very, very good football team. Probably like one of the better football teams we played all season long, arguably. Because even then, the other third and fourth grade team lost to the same grade level of our opponents, and they were they lost by like 2 touchdowns. No, they lost by 3 touchdowns. I take that back. They lost by 3. We only lost by 2. But even then, the the um the touchdown that came, it came at like the very last minute of the fourth quarter. We pretty much
mm.
shut. They scored once and they did not score again until like the last. I want to say like the last 4 or 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. You know, but again, like I said, arguably they were one of the better teams that we played all season long. One of the better teams, and so told the kids like hey, listen, we lost to a really really good football team like Madawan, their Rocket football program. Out of all the teams we faced so far, is really good. They've always been good, and a lot of
Mhm.
the that normally plays Rocket football ends up moving up and playing middle school football, which leads into high school football. So they're going to be seeing
Okay.
these kids a lot more, a lot more. And
Okay.
I told them like, dude, I don't care how you feel about this game. You do not walk away this game with your head hung low. No, you shut them out from the first time they scored all the way up until the last time they scored. That was the only time they scored.
Mhm.
Only time they scored. Like you hang that up because you held in there against a very good football team. Very good football team. But even then, came to find out that one of their players, they took off a red sticker. So basically, in our league is for any kid that weighs over 100 pounds with full pads on. Yes, Toby's back. Woo woo. So for any kid that weighs over 100 pounds with their full football equipment, they are required to wear a red tape on their helmet, signifying that they're over the limit, but they can still
Gotcha.
play.
Gotcha,
And
gotcha.
even if they're still playing, they can only play certain positions on the football field. And so one of the parents said that, "Hey, coach, we just realized like during during the second half, the kid who had red tape on their helmet decided to take it off, and they've been playing the
Oh,
whole
shit.
season with it off."
Oh, that's fucked
And
up.
yeah, and so they're like, "How you want to handle it?" Like, tell somebody, tell the board, tell somebody on the board, let them know what's going on, because if that actually happened, that's an automatic disqualifier for them, automatic. And so they basically forfeit that win that they just got because they cheated. But even then, talking to the rest, because a lot of the Madawan players were like pushing my kids in the back. That's called a clip. And like I had one kid, said that he had a helmet like running in his back and he was on the ground. Like he's like, I can't feel my back, like my back hurts. And so, but then again, like, okay, cool. So I grabbed the medic and told him what was going on. And I told the ref, like, hey, ref, you gotta watch these players because my kids are telling me that they're playing dirty. They're playing dirty. And I don't know which kid is doing it, but he got hit in the back hard.
Mm,
And so
shit.
they're like, okay, we'll keep an eye on it. But even then, as the game progressed, a lot of my kids were getting banged up And they're like, listen, we're getting banged up because they're blindsiding us. They're hitting us in our blind spots where we can't even see them, nor can we react to them to protect ourselves. And so I told the refs, like, hey, ref, and I told the kids too as loud as I could so that the other team could hear them. I'm like, hey, I don't care what y'all got to do because you guys are on defense. Y'all better hit that other team twice as hard as they've been hitting y'all all game. And the other guy's
Mm.
like, what? And I'm like, and I kind of sat there and looked at him. And I'm like, y'all better hit somebody on this football field. Y'all better hit them hard. Do it legally, but hit them hard. And I told the rest, like, hey, y'all not doing your job because my kids, as of right now, like, this is the second person who I have to walk off the field because they're getting banged up by somebody not playing fair.
Mhm.
Not playing fair. So, like, I don't know what's going on. I can't see everything, but I'm gonna need y'all to kind of figure it out. They're like, okay, we'll watch. We'll watch. We'll watch. And so they finally caught the guy who was, pushing the kids in the back. No, they finally caught him, threw a flag out. I'm like, yep, take him back. Like, if we're over here playing a clean football game and we only have one block in the back and they keep doing it multiple times, like, what do you want me to do? What
Mhm.
do you want me to do? So did that, had a falling out with one of the parents, and yeah, had a falling out with one of the parents. So I was like, you know what, whatever. I got to do what I got to do. You know,
Right.
I got to do what I got to do. And even this week, even today, I just found out that after practice, well, during practice, a lot of kids were running around. They were being kids, get it, but they were talking, always talkative. They were hitting each other, they were pushing each other, hurting each other. And I was like, I had enough of it. Like, hey, listen, you know, let's try this thing again tomorrow and everything else. We got some plays down, we got some formations down. Like, I want to continue working on what we got. And they just kept talking. It was like nonstop talking. It's like, you know what? Like, can we run? Can we run? Like, okay, if you want to run, I'm gonna make you run. I sure enough did. They got set. They got down there. They said down, said hut. They came back down as soon as they came to me. Down, said hut. So I gave them no break to catch their breath. It was as soon as you got there, you get down, you set, you run down. As soon as you got down to the other ring, you get down, you come back. Almost like basically running suicides. For
Mm.
those who play basketball, it was like running suicides. I was basically making them run suicide. And they were goofing off, they were doing this and that. Like a lot of the other players are like, man, we want to stop, we want to do this. Like, I'm sorry, I can't because your teammates, they think this is a game. They think this is all fun and jokes and everything else. And it's like, nope, gotta keep running. My stomach hurts. Keep running. Keep running. And so when they all came back, I told them to take a knee and I was speaking very loudly to the point where the parents could hear me from way on the other side of the football field. I was like, I'm tired of y'all talking over me. I'm tired of it. I'm
Mm.
tired of trying to get your guys' attention. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of trying to repeat myself over and over and over. I'm tired of it. And you wonder why you guys are losing your games because you don't know when to stop talking. You don't. You don't. And you will continue to lose football games if you keep up with the same attitude. I'm tired of it. I told y'all I was done yelling, and here we are right now. I'm yelling.
Right. Yeah.
I'm tired of it. I am tired of it. I'm tired of it. Get your stuff, go home, come back tomorrow ready to practice, ready to work. Couple kids like, well, I'm not coming back tomorrow. Like, oh, you don't want to come back tomorrow? Okay, cool, bet. Don't show up for Saturday because you're not playing.
Mm.
And he just kind of turned around, looked at me like, what? Like, you heard me. If you don't show up for practice tomorrow, don't bother showing up for the game on Saturday. Don't. Don't even bother. If you're not going to show up tomorrow, don't bother. I will put somebody in your place that wants to play, that wants to work, that wants to listen. I will put them in your place quick, fast, in a heartbeat. And even then, I came home. I just found out one of my good friends passed away a couple months ago. And I'm just now finding that out. I'm like, holy crap, like seriously? So I was like, okay. Like, this is really happening. This is really happening. So I was like, okay, okay. I guess when it rains it pours. But at the same time, to kind of shed a little bit more sunshine on this dark cloud right now, I did have a few kids like after practice come up. It's like, hey coach, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm like, it's not even your guys' fault. It's not your fault. Like, it's your teammates. It's your teammates. Your teammates feel as though they are entitled to this. Their teammates are thinking they can do whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it, however they want to. Like, it's not gonna go that way. It's not. So like, you're good, but at the same time, you win as a team, you lose as a team. You get penalized as a team, and you get rewarded as a team. There is no I in team, even though yes, there's a me, but even still, you win and lose as a team. Win and lose as a team. I'm like, you're good. Like, okay. The other kid came up and said, man, I'm sorry. I apologize for being mean. I'm like, okay, I forgive you. But at the same time, I want you to use that same energy for your opponents. Use that same aggression that you got towards your teammates, towards your opponents, because these are your teammates. You're supposed to have their back. They're supposed to have your back. And if you're being nasty and mean and rude to your teammates, they're not going to help you come to football games. They're not even going to help you outside of the football game. So you got to do better. Like, I know you can do better. I know you can do better. Just do better. All right. All right. I'm seeing you tomorrow, ready to work. Yes, coach. Like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And even then, my son, he was crying in the back seat because he's like, man, he's like, dad, he's like, why do I have to run so much? Like, it's your teammates. It's literally your teammates. They don't want to listen. And this is
Mhm.
like, I'm sorry you had to go through it. I'm sorry you had to suffer through it. But again, it's not your fault that your teammates don't want to listen. It's not your fault that your teammates don't want to pay attention. It's not your fault. It's not. Too many parents have told them to stop talking, to be quiet, and listen to coach and da 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 da. Like, too much. They've done it way too much, way too long. And so enough was enough. And if people don't want to come back tomorrow because of A, B, C, and D, okay. I already know about one person who wasn't going to show up. I already, me and the mom, we already talked about it. But other than that, for anybody else, like, that's okay. Come Saturday, they don't got to play. Trust me, they don't got to.
Mhm.
They really don't. And if they don't show up, okay, cool, great. I'll put somebody else in their spot. And like I told them from the beginning of the season, just because you got your spot now doesn't mean somebody else can come and take it, because your spot is not guaranteed. Your spot is not guaranteed. And so if you want to keep your spot, you got to work hard at your spot. Because if not, if somebody challenges you for your spot and they do a better job than you, they're taking your spot until you can work up and do better, get better. Go for it. But until then, your spot is not guaranteed.
Mhm.
You got to earn it. You got to earn it. So that's my week.
Ah, man. Kids, like it's just a very long, nearly 30-year period until like they really start listening. Like once they're like 25, 26, and it's like, oh, things start to really slow down and click.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
no, and I've definitely been just like noticing that because like whenever I hear like parents and they're like, oh, once they turn 18, I'm like, you don't stop taking care of them until they're 18. Like they're still idiots at 18. They're still
Yes.
idiots at 22. They're still like 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 they say, well, like your frontal lobe or like your brain, yeah, like your frontal lobe and like your brain completely finishes developing at like 25, 26.
Mm.
Mm.
And I've really believe that because I noticed, um, like I remember, like I would like turn like 22, and then I think about how I was at 21 and how like I was like, man, I felt like I was like I learned so much, like I felt like I was so stupid, but like ever since I was like going like 28, 29, and so forth, I just feel like I haven't. I just feel like I kind of almost know everything that I need to know in terms of like, okay, I'm not. I don't know, like things are just processing differently, and it's just
Mhm.
like at like a more mature way. Like I
Mhm.
think back on myself and I'm like, man, I was hella disrespectful, hella mean, and like, or just like inconsiderate in certain things. And like it's something I do want to talk about, like definitely in this month when it comes to like dating and sex and all that. But like, yeah, like it takes a long time for things to just really actually click. So like
Mhm.
kids at that
Mhm.
age. Oh my god, this is my fully developed frontal lobe. I'm sorry, Chad, but yeah, there's no going back.
Mhm.
Like, but I think you got a good. I think you got a good frontal lobe. I think you got a good fully developed frontal lobe, Chad.
I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah, but yeah, no, kids like they really don't mean it because they just don't know. This isn't even my final lobe. Ah!
Yeah.
Oh
Amazing.
gosh. Oh,
I love it. I love it. I love
I
it.
love it too. Jeez, me. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I would love to see your final lobe, Mish. The fact that you got another one. But
Right.
I would love to hear from our third lobe of the of the group, Toby.
Mhm.
Oh god.
Our
Um,
final lobe, rather.
Yes.
dang, is it my turn? Yeah,
Yes. You
sorry.
can.
It was a lot going on. Not even like physically in this area, but just my computer refusing to be normal. Even my work computer was having problems, but the I think visually, audibly is okay. It's just typing is near impossible because keyboards lag. Um, so I need to
Okay.
get. Oh wait. Oh, so it seems. Nope, it's still not working, but it's fine. Tobe,
Toby lobe.
frontal tobe. Um, um, so I don't know. Oh yeah, Nigerian Independence Day was October 1st, aka Saturday. Amazing
Oh.
time, man. Yeah, 62 years that we could celebrate something. Sometimes, but there's a lot of nonsense going on, unfortunately. Um, Mostly within the government and stuff. But here in the U.S. and I'm sure other parts of the world, people were celebrating. It was cold. There weren't any outdoor activities. No real, kind of nothing that I knew of, at least in Boston, happening. But there was like a big like party on Saturday night. I knew the organizer. He's also Nigerian. He's like
Oh,
I've
that's
known him
nice.
probably since 2019 when I first moved here. He's done different events. Always a pretty good time. So I went to his thing. It's actually an event series that he's been doing since like probably spring of this year called Heritage. I went to the second one he did in June, which was actually on Juneteenth, or it was June 18th, but it was like an after party for a artist named Davido, a very popular Nigerian artist, who came to Boston that day. So that was Heritage Part 2. Then Part 3 was this Saturday, which was like a big, Nigerian independence celebration. Really good vibes, a lot of fun, even though I did get there in the last hour or so, a little more than an hour. But I spent a lot of Saturday night actually car searching because I had been taking such a pause on that. But I've been kind of going hardcore on it. Like, had a somewhat discouraging conversation with my parents because I don't know.
Oh.
I feel like they, you know, felt like I wasn't really making a lot of progress or that I was going back and forth. But I felt like there were times that I was almost ready, but I would be sort of dissuaded from going in one direction. Whether it was like I wanted a car that's older, but they thought it would be too much of a liability. Like even 2015, 2016, or 2017. Plus a lot of miles on some of those cars, and you're still paying like $18,000 for them, even though they
Mhm.
are like 6 years old. So I don't know. It was like a lot of back and forth, I feel like. But I had done my own search that Saturday night before I went out to that party. I think Friday I went to like a game. No, it wasn't a game night. It was just a gathering, but we got there at the end. But it was like some Nigerians who I guess knew each other. My roommate, who's also Nigerian, knew some of them from church, so we went together. And another friend was there, and so I mean, I didn't know any of the people, but they were like nice. They had some leftover food that they gave us. They, let us stay for as long as we needed, and then we left. That was like about 15-20 minutes from where I live, so that wasn't too bad. And then I don't remember what else I did Saturday. Even Friday, it was kind of like I didn't go out much, but I kind of did a lot of different things, work, after work tasks, got some nice Haitian food that I had missed getting last weekend, or I should say the
Okay.
weekend before. So basically it was like a week later where it was like, all right, this time I'm gonna order it, I'm gonna get it, and it was good. And then Sunday, there was this day party called Schooled, which was like homecoming theme. So I know those organizers as well. Now I just met the main organizer personally a few weeks ago, which is cool. She's good people. She's actually the one who low-key created this Boston Young Black Professionals group back in like 2012. But that was
Oh,
before where it was really like a real org. It was just like, let's have like a group me. And then this group me is like now almost 4,000 people, and there's like meetups and there's a lot of other stuff. And so she's the creator of kind of a young, like a black urban professionals, not even black urban, but like a Boston young urban professional group. And so that homecoming event, I definitely passed out and slept very late on Sunday, but I woke up. It was like, oh my god! It wasn't even like I drank a crazy amount on Saturday because I was driving, but it was just like once I got home, I couldn't sleep for a while. Well, we didn't go home immediately, but once I did get home, and it was probably like 3ish, I was like, oh my god, I couldn't sleep, and I was literally up until morning. Like it was bad. Like I couldn't even go to bed. I haven't binge watching TV. I just couldn't sleep, and so my sleep schedule has definitely been off. So like I've been up kind of consistently to like 5 or 6 a.m. And thankfully I haven't had work meetings or really real responsibilities right now. So I've kind of been getting away with it where I wake up at best if I'm up between like 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. That's good. Worst is after 1, which is not great. Not gonna really fly, I think, the next few days because I actually do have real work meetings and stuff that I need to take care of. So I'm just trying to reorient my sleep after like completely destroying my schedule over the weekend slash even like late last week. I feel like my sleep schedule was pretty off. Um, and last night I
mhm.
was up late doing car search stuff. So it was like I pretty much after work hours, I was just taking care of stuff. I was watching some YouTube videos about can you negotiate in this climate? Very difficult with car buying to negotiate. And I thought you really couldn't, but I think it did give me an idea of how to buy some used cars. I was like really averse to buying used cars that were like 2019, 2020, even 2021 because they're so expensive, like thousands of dollars more than the new version. And I was like, there's no way, heck, that I'm going to do that. But now I'm like, you know what? Maybe if I just like come with the facts, here's what the factory says for like Toyota. Like if I did a customization on Toyota's website, this is what this is. Even with the premium package, it should be this much money. The fact that this used vehicle is over it. One of them wasn't actually that high over. It was like $600 over. But I'm like, I could
Okay.
get. I was like, still, this is a 2020 car, and it has like maybe 20 to 30, even sometimes 35, almost 40,000 miles for a 2-year car, which isn't great. And I'm like, the fact that it's like almost $1,000 more than the new car would be customizing it from the factory doesn't make sense. And so that was something I took care of yesterday. I didn't even finish all of it because I was trying to gather a lot of data pieces that Enterprise, because Enterprise also has some 2020 Toyota Corollas, which has been kind of the car I've been focusing on the most. Though high key, the Corolla is a good car, but I feel like the Honda Civic, and even recently, I just started looking at Mazda 3, which was one of the cars I rented. I want to say back in June, I had a Mazda 6 for a few days. That car was
Okay.
that was nice. And then Mazda
Yeah.
3, which was also nice, but the 6 was definitely like room.
Yeah.
So I rented. So now I didn't really seriously consider a Mazda, but my dad even like threw out the idea at one point. And so, I mean, he's probably not super happy if I tell him that I'm looking at yet another set of cars, but he did mention it. So I'm kind of curious on like what he'll think about the 3, because I'm just doing all this research, and I feel like I've done a lot more research even yesterday than I had, because I've done a lot of research since I lost my car. I should say really since I moved. But yes, and I'm glad you co-signed that, Chad. But I feel like I've seen a lot more about certain specs, certain metrics, in particular the value, the reliability, because it's always just been Toyota Corolla, Toyota Honda. But now I'm starting to see that Mazda is actually like, they're really up there, and they're
Yeah.
pretty affordable, surprisingly,
Yeah.
for the reputation. Like the Mazda 3 is not that crazy out of the ballpark, but you might not find the trims you want, because I feel like they're a lot less. There's a lot less of them. So you might have to be forced to buy like a premium trim at 27,000+, which is not the move. But if you can get one of the smaller trims, you can get it more in the 22,000-3,000 range. You gotta get it with
20. 2030.
basically.
Basically,
It's looking interesting. I think what I saw was that the best compact SUV, which surprised me. I always thought it would just be a RAV4 or a CRV, Honda CRV, but it's actually the Mazda CX-30. That's
I like
actually
those.
the number. Yeah, and I'd see clearly you know more about this, Alex, because I didn't even know that was a car until I don't know when, but it had to have been in the last few months. Like the Mazda 3 I drove, but even when I drove the 3 and the 6, I didn't know what Mazda cars were. I was like, oh. Yeah, until we was driving in 2032. So I was like, do I want, because right now I have a Chevy Trax, which I've been renting for longer than I should have been. But this Chevy Trax is about to be like, I know what it feels like. I know what this SUV feels like. It's actually the first SUV I think I've really rented in all my car shenanigans for the last like 6 months. So I'm like, I wanted an SUV at first, but then I was like, no, because the mileage is terrible for these things. But I think the Hyundai Kona has a pretty good mileage, and a friend of mine had the Kona. Let's look for newer, look for good history and upkeep. Yeah, the thing is, if I could get an older car, but that's the only way you're gonna save money is if you have a good history, but it's like 5+ years old. And you might save like a few $1,000s, but you're not gonna save like 10,000. You're gonna save more like 4,000 at best, maybe 5,000, maybe. So I'm like, is it worth going that far back? Because if you don't go that far back, the 2019, 2020 cars, even 2018, you're not going to get a great price. The last thing I'll say, though, and this is another interesting thing I've found, is I've taken to, and this is something I didn't do when I first was car shopping in 2019. And I wish I had, because I actually bought literally one of the worst Honda cars. I didn't realize the 2016 Honda Civic was actually not a great year, because it was the first year of that new generation. And so I've been looking up like best and worst years for, I really looked for Civic, Accord, Toyota Corolla, and Camry. But if I get a Corolla or a Civic, most likely I'll just get a new one anyway. And if I get a Camry or an Accord, then I'm going to look for something older, because those cars are more reliable. So it's more important. Like, I wouldn't want to get a new Accord or new Civic because that's too expensive. And that's like a little over reliable. I feel like a new Corolla or Civic will be good enough if it's a new car, or like a 2-year-old car. And so I'm also trying to do that with the Mazda too. Mazda also, not 2, because I don't think there's a Mazda 2. But yeah, the Mazda also I'm trying to do it with. And so so it turns out the 2016 Civic I've seen mixed things, but usually not good. And that's the car that I had. So I'm like, okay, good. Now I like know not to get certain years of certain cars. And when I look at prices, it's funny when I see like, oh yeah, this 2018 Toyota something is not, like Camry or Corolla, one of them, 2018 is not a great year. Turns out it's reflected in the price. And so I have to not fall into that trap of just like, oh, looks cheap, but there's a reason why. So hopefully that'll be narrowed down, because I actually felt like I made a lot of good progress last night, but I was at it for like hours and hours. And I did make some requests on Saturday night to some dealerships, but I've not been able to get in touch with them because I was offline when they called, or they weren't answering when I called. So hopefully that gets sorted out very, very soon. But I feel like I'm in a pretty decent place on that. I still have the car loan eligible until like was 90 days, so it's probably going to be end of November. I don't want to wait till end of November, even if
Right.
car prices drop more, because it does seem like used car prices are dropping, but not a lot. And new car prices are mixed. Some people say they're dropping, some people say they're actually getting more expensive. Kind of difficult to tell, but I'm actually looking at possibly just buying a used car and then trying to like leverage them by like saying, hey, look at all these new car prices, versus trying to get a new car, not having inventory for at least 6 weeks, and then you can't test drive it because you're going to buy it. So I think my strategy is to buy that used 2020 car, maybe 2019. You driving through it. Yeah, and I've heard that too. People said like you can drive a lot further. I think with New England though, so it turns out some places like Philly, for instance. Well, actually, Chad, this is perfect because you're in the area. Philly apparently doesn't charge over MSRP for a lot of their dealerships, which is crazy because New England. And then literally this website said that New England loves to charge over MSRP, and I'm like, well, great. Where do I live? So even if I do drive a 3-hour radius, at best I can get to Albany, New York, which I feel like is still going to be in that New England-ish area. And so I'm like, I don't have a lot of great options in terms of trying to get further away to find a car. Unless I fly somewhere that it's drivable, but I don't know.
My brother bought a car from like my sister's friend. Like she was selling like her, I think it was like a Toyota Corolla. It was like a stick shift. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was probably like a 2007, 2009, or something kind of old, but not that bad.
Yeah.
And he flew up to New Jersey and drove it all the way down because like she was selling it for something that's like ridiculously cheap. I can't remember. It's like 500 or like 1,000. It was something like, because she was just trying to get rid of the car or something. It was something like that. Like I can't remember, but yeah, don't.
What?
I mean, when was that? Like, probably. That's a good question. Probably like 2015, maybe.
Well before the pandemic.
Yeah, it was well before the pandemic. But like, just still saying like what Chad is saying, like definitely look into even like kind of far away and making the drive too.
Yeah.
Because like it's shitty, I know, and it's just like it just sucks that we live in a society that we just really need cars. And like the annoying thing is about shopping for cars is that it's endless, so like definitely like you're not going to go wrong with a Honda Civic, you're not going to go wrong with a Honda Accord, not going to go wrong with a Toyota Corolla, a Camry, a Mazda 3, a Mazda 6. You're not going to go like, even if like what like the year, like yeah, of course, like maybe try to not get any of those years that are kind of bad, but like I was looking at Mazdas for a while because I didn't want another Honda Accord, but I can't remember why. I just ended up just dealing with a Honda Accord again. I think I was doing some research and like asking like car friends, and they were saying like, it's like, well, the Honda does have the best engine. I was like, well, that is important.
Yeah.
Not to say like the Mazda has an absolutely excellent engine as well. Like I'm not like I was incredibly close to getting a Mazda. Like literally a month before the pandemic, I was this close to signing.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so close. I was really just weighing in the options and like the money and everything. I was so close to, because like I do love Mazda still. It's just a very like, it's a solid ride. Like it's a solid car. They're a solid car.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you won't go wrong with any like Japanese car. Personally, I'm not really a fan of Nissans.
Yeah, I've had a lot of rental Nissans. Never was the biggest fan either.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Nissans personally. Subarus are good. They're just expensive
Mm,
because of the 4-wheel drive, but like they're solid cars as well.
yeah, I've heard really good things about Subaru.
This is really good, but I got a different one though. My goodness. Uh my sister's Nissan is so bad.
Hmm.
There's just something about Nissans that just like
My mom got an Altima, like a 2016 Altima, all black. I don't know, like, if it has problems, but I just personally like the Ultima's good, but it's like I wouldn't go out of my way to buy it. Versus,
right, yeah. Like if it was just like a good deal and it kind of just fell on your lap, you get like
yeah,
like like that's
yeah.
no offense, Nissan, if you're randomly watching this, but like
A representative is just
like hey, ooh, Volvos are great cars too.
yeah, I've never driven one, but I know they're definitely seem pretty well.
They're expensive though, and like the upkeep is expensive because I believe that they're German. That's another thing about German cars too. That's like, of course, I would love like a BMW. I was very close to also getting. I always thought like my next car was going to be a Jetta, but
Oh, my bad.
oh no, it's fine.
Well,
But
so-
like, no, okay, it's okay. It's but like, I just know with the upkeep with Jettas, it's just going to be expensive.
mm,
So it's like, what the hell is the point, you know?
yeah.
Oh, you're in a high crime neighborhood. I've never seen those memes. That's funny though. That is so funny. That is so funny.
She'll say my mom's neighborhood is definitely not super suburban Maryland.
Oh, Volvo is Swedish.
Oh, did
Yeah.
not know that.
Do you know what the female version of a Volvo is?
Volva.
Yes.
I'm dead.
Oh, yep, we're doing it today.
Man,
We are.
that is a great. That is a great on topic.
You know, the logo for Volvo is like the symbol for male. You know, it's a circle with the arrow. So
Mhm.
I always thought that was like, I don't know. Huh? It was a little high school joke, I guess, that I made up. I
Hey,
actually laughed at Volvo. I'm glad. Yay. My high school self is happy now because I never really had a need to use that joke.
It came out.
Like, thank you.
There you go.
As was previously mentioned, this month is cuffing season because it is getting cold for y'all and even us down here in South Florida, which is weird because usually it doesn't get cold until never. But for whatever reason, it's been like, I'm waking up and it's like 71 degrees, which to us, that's like 55 degrees for you guys. So, no, I'm kidding. It's probably like 65, if I'm being honest, 63. So, why is it called cuffing? Like jail? For some people. But what cuffing is
Oh.
is like getting with somebody. Like you kind of, you're dating somebody. Like yeah, so you're essentially dating someone. They call it cuffing season because it starts to get cold out, and you tend to spend a lot more time indoors. So you kind of want someone, you want someone or something warm to cuddle or be under you or on top of you, and then also you roll into like the holiday season. So because it's like sometimes it's kind of like considered like a draft, like in terms of sports, but not necessarily like the weather. but I guess the weather draft has something to do with it. Um, so if like you start dating somebody, and then in October, September, October, then you go into November, you have Thanksgiving. So are they coming to the Thanksgiving holiday? That's usually a signifier. Are they coming by for Christmas, Hanukkah? Are they, for the holidays? Are they going to be there for New Year's Eve? That's a big thing. And usually it's a winner if they're there until Valentine's Day. It's like you get a reliable source of food for the winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a snack. So if they stay until Valentine's Day, then that's usually like a winner. But people start to try to kind of cozy up with somebody around fall times, because it starts to get cooler, and then you could have someone to go to like the pumpkin patch with whatever the hell you Northerners do. Like make hot cocoa, like wear ugly sweaters. Like what do you?
Oh, this is cold, but
Yeah.
And I think it's reversed. No, it's not reversed. Yeah, we make hot cider and other comfort things.
Yeah, and you guys wear like hoodies, and then like she steals your hoodie. That's like a thing.
Yeah, that's a thing. She steals hoodies, Yeah, actually, and someone even told me this, that they basically stole their past boyfriend or flings hoodies. Anyway, that's not even gonna get to that. But yeah, that's actually something I've still never been. Also, what's up? I actually recognize some of these people. They're friends of mine.
Hey, it's good to see you all.
No, I've never done apple picking yet, but I do want to up here. There's a place that someone just recommended here in Massachusetts, but it's also like a winery. So you can get like the apple cider, you can get the alcoholic stuff, all the goods. So I definitely have to hit some of you up offline, especially those of you who've actually lived here in New England longer, and figure out what is a good place. I think I already know like 2 places that I've heard of that you can do apple picking. Oh, and I remember the person who told me about the winery, so I can always hit her up too if I need to. Hay rides. I mean, I did hay rides when I was in Maryland. Never did a haunted house, but that's pretty popular in Rhode Island, especially. There's a lot of haunted houses. Salem, Massachusetts has freaking, what do you call
it? Ghost tours?
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's hey. Yeah, because like with Salem and the witches. So I feel like there's a lot of like these kind of spooky-esque things, but then on the other hand, you can kind of snuggle all up.
Right, be like their protector from the scary movies.
Of course.
And from the crazy chainsaw person who lives in your outdoor storage unit when you watch scary movies, though. He's not there any other time.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually amazing. I am going to not trademark. You're gonna get the credit, but like, I'm gonna just casually do it and then later report on the results.
I mean, I would fly up to go apple picking.
There you go.
I want to pick some apples. I want to go into like a fucking pumpkin patch, and like,
but don't you guys
like, and like, do you like patch pumpkins? Like, what the fuck do you do? Like, take pictures?
I don't remember. Probably in Maryland, I had been in a pumpkin patch back when I lived in like Salisbury. If you're from the DMV, you know the Salisbury, Maryland, which is it's more suburban, but it's definitely also surrounded by a lot more rural. So that area, yeah, I do remember pumpkin patches. I remember watermelon spitting contest, which don't remember what time of the year. Probably around now because I feel like you have the harvest, everything being grown, going into the fall. Or I think I had seen orchards before, but I don't remember actually doing pumpkin patch. Oh, what are you talking about?
The apples? Maybe the pumpkins.
Or something someone with the chainsaws, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, so I love how this is like also become like a fall activity. Because listen, this is gonna be a great transition because first you gotta get them on the fall activities. You gotta get them to come with you on the haunted house, hayride, apple picking, and then
Pumpkin patch.
what did I say? Pumpkin pie.
I'm sorry. I thought I was just I was trying to guess the next thing.
Oh no, pumpkin
You're-
patch. That's too wholesome. I respect it though, Al. Thank you for balancing it out because what I was about to say was not wholesome at all. But I was trying to say it in a way that was indirect. I was like, first, that's what you do, and then you have falling something on something, but more in the bedroom. But anyways, Salem is fun year round, but it's too crowded around Hall. I've been to Salem, I think, twice. Once this year in the summer, and I actually went to this barcade called Bit Bar. You might know it. It's a pretty cool, just very chill, but the names were super cool, like Bowser, Waluigi. I mean, there was like a whole lot of like video game references to the drinks and the food. So that was, then you get to stuff the scarecrow. I'm screaming actually. God have mercy. And I can't even see. Oh, I do see it.
Lost in the corn maze. The stuff the scarecrow. Like, damn.
Oh man.
What do these northern women look like?
Well,
No comment.
I was gonna say I'm gonna say no comment on that one.
I'm fucking with you. I gotta stop the scarecrow. That's hilarious.
Again, no comment.
It's a bit bar. Okay, so you do know it. Yeah. Yo, I mean, we should find a time and make it happen. I'd be down to go back to Salem. So I'll link up with you offline, Mish.
Don't die yet. Thanks. You got to stay here. Do not go to the light.
I'm sorry, but I'm not perfect. Yeah.
This
Rule
is actually
number one: never apologize.
Never apologize. Rule number two, or rule number 1B, actually say Ron knows, but we might have to put it in the Discord because
again,
that's
we'll put it in the Discord again.
Oh man, yeah, I'm always down to go to a barcade too. So
okay, come on. Well, apparently, depending on what's happening during the holidays, maybe I will see you. That would actually be pretty dope. Actually, we should talk offline now.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I came up with the name of this episode. I want to apologize again for being late, but so I didn't want to say sex education 101 because I wasn't sure if we are going to get flagged for using the word sex. So I was like, what is synonymous with sex? I was like, birds and the bees. No, that's too fucking cringe. Knocking boots. We're not like in the disco years. So I was like, you up? And I feel like that's, a universal term for, this modern age of, you text somebody, you up, and we all just sort of know what that means. Because usually that text comes at witching hour.
Oh, good.
Which is, or demon time, rather.
There you go.
Yes. Which is, I guess, like around nowish, if, you're old. And like for me, like I mean, there's like this one guy who would like try to text me. It's like, hey, can I come over now? I was like, it's like 10:30. Like I got work tomorrow. I can't. I'm sorry. Cause like he lives kind of far, so it's gonna take him like fucking like 40, 45 minutes. Like, this is gonna be like 11. But that's a sign of just getting old. But so for me, this is demon time on a weeknight. If it was a weekend, that would have been fine. But yeah, if you get the text that like the text comes at witching hour, the person arrives at demon time. Perfect. Perfect.
Hey,
And TMC
I
and
love
chat.
that. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. About to
You go over
go.
Tuesday night for TMC and you know what?
TMC.
I mean,
Let's
I
just
mean,
say
like,
last summer. Sorry, go ahead, Al.
no, say that. What did you do last summer?
Actually,
Because I
no,
don't
yeah.
know
I feel like
this.
I can't just drop. I can't just drop something like that and then leave it. Nah, I'll tell you guys next week. No,
No, what? No. Tell us what
So-
you did last summer.
it wasn't anything crazy. It
I
was
don't
just
know what
that
you did
I
last
had
summer.
friends. I just had friends over and stuff. A lot more than I have now because it's been
Yeah.
pretty much just like empty. Like during like summertime, especially second half, friends, pool parties, whatever. And so there are times where I would be streaming and I would have my friends. And this is why that whole like lore, right? The lore has been created, the canon of TMC. In addition to large fridges, now we have like women cooking for me at all hours, which is very much not a thing right now. But last year, low key, high key was. And so when I during the streams, someone would just come over and be like, "Oh my god, hi, photobomb," hug me from behind or something, and then leave. And I'm like, this isn't helping the perception that like I'm getting action, because I wasn't getting action, by the way. That was literally just someone coming in to like photobomb and whatever. But like I'm like, TMC and chill. Yeah. But then it's like it might be a little awkward if different weeks you just see different women. And it's like, oh, okay. So you just have some other girl in your background chilling right there on my bed or just next to me as a co-host. Co-host. And then also helping out in the backstage after the stream. Chance to the next or she won't.
He's gonna accidentally create an orgy.
Yeah. Actually, I feel like that's like on brand somehow.
Oh man.
No.
It's not what it is, guys. Like what Toby is kind of is. Like you got somebody hanging upside down, and what is that going on in the corner? Like Toby, what's going on in your house, sir?
Just a scene and just chaotic scene and just like what is happening. I love it. Now I do wonder. I mean, Elle, I think you were gonna say something before I.
I guess I was just gonna say like we're just gonna talk about I don't know like sex education and more modern sex education. Okay. Because like yeah, we were throwing out like a bunch of ideas and trying to get things situated. So I was like, this is the sex ed. Yes. Okay. You to warm up the sausages for the stuffing. Not this.
Oh Jesus! Funny though, what you were saying.
What happens to Betsy? No.
Oh yeah, we will talk about it.
Oh man.
Because I was gonna basically do the same kind of segue where it's kind of like the history. I mean, the shenanigans always. Please keep the shenanigans coming. We love it. But like, if we're gonna go and talk about kind of the sex ed on a broader scale, yeah, like what did that look like? Though unfortunately, the internet, kind of how it's our therapy sometimes. It's our whatever things that possibly we shouldn't be relying on the internet for, particular like anonymous people or Twitter. But like a lot of people are getting sex advice or learning about sex more on the internet. But when it came to how we had our upbringings, and now modern is kind of like what happened between those years, the 10, 15, 20 years. We're not experts, but we'll try.
Yeah, no, it's like it's important to note. Like,
disclaimer.
Yeah. I mean, just like none of us are like sex therapists, right?
I'm not.
Okay.
That would be something else if it's just like new.
Right. It's like
like
I've been studying. It's like, well, let us know.
Instructions unclear. Something gets caught in the ceiling fan. We can use our imagination. If that happens to you, if something gets caught in a ceiling fan or God knows something else, AC vent, I wouldn't tell you to do that. So to be warned, when you ask a question, what kind of answer you'll get.
Never mind. I'm not even going to ask what got caught in the ceiling fan. Not
like I have vaulted ceilings, so that'd be really hard.
You said, "Oh, you like the really."
In my bedroom, yeah, not here. These are normal ceilings,
Yeah,
but in
those
my
are-
bedroom, I have vaulted ceilings. So
That's some acrobatic stuff and
right, it's like
impressive, but also concerned.
It's like no, I'd be like trying. It's like I would be like purposefully trying to put something into the ceiling fan at that point.
Oh, I'll be okay. I think I'll be okay. Woo. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, Toby, I think you were saying something though.
Oh no, I was really just like saying what you said is what I was thinking in terms of the sex ed from when we were kids to now as adults. What we see, I mean, for ourselves, you might say, what do we see when we're on the internet? But also, what are kids kind of seeing, and how are they learning about sex differently than how we did? And it sounded like though you were saying something in the same vein of like sex ed and stuff, and so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it's not like I mean, you could say it's a question. It's just kind of like reflecting on it. Like, I guess what did it look like sex ed when we were in school, maybe even outside of school? Like, if you have other institutions like community, if you have any kind of like extracurricular kind of like Boy Scout, Girl Scout, or even like other things where you may have been exposed to like kind of like, okay, we have boys together, girls together, we're gonna try to teach about this, or even like also religious institutions, whether it's it's something that you see in church or other religious institutions, and then you have like, I mean, I don't know how much this would happen in like barber shops and like these type of other areas. Maybe when you're growing up, you have the same barber, and they're kind of asking like, oh, so you seeing girls, or I don't know. I didn't have a relationship like that when I was like getting haircuts and stuff. But from what I hear about these community centers like barbershops and other places that are de facto community centers, are you sort of getting some off the cuff sex advice / education, or was it more formal? So it's kind of like a broad question, but I'm just like pointing out different institutions. School, of course, is the first and foremost one where you would have possibly gotten exposure to sex ed, or if you got nothing and you had to learn this all by your dang self. That's an interesting thing to know as well. So that's kind of like the question or the prompt that I'm interested in.
Okay. For me, like my first time like figuring that out, I don't know. Like, oh man, like I'm trying to, like, I know like we had like sex ed back when I was like in like 5th grade. Oh, so I was like 9-10 years old, I guess. And I know that they separated the boys from the girls. So like girls had to learn about like vagina and periods and things like that. And I guess pregnancy. I mean, I can't remember too much. This was like a million years ago. But I remember, I just remember like the diagram. And it was like, like a vagina, most likely a white woman's. And it was, or maybe it was just black and white, but like you could just tell she was a white woman. And like, and yeah, but I remember I think I've mentioned this on the stream before, where like, I couldn't have been older than 10, probably like 7, 8 or something. My mom gave me like this little book about like a little sex ed book, but it was like kind of Christian based. It was like essentially telling you like not to masturbate and abstinence and the body parts of of your sexual organs and things like that. And 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 I remember I asked my mom because I read like the girls section, like like the female section so many times, and I asked my mom if I can read the male section, like if I was allowed to, and she was like, "Yeah, of course." And like I was like excited to because like I knew that there was going to be like a penis there, and I was like, when you're like, I guess heterosexual, it's exciting, and like as long as we had like access to porn and like like God forbid I wouldn't have looked at that honestly. I was kind of a goody. But yeah, I was just like curious. So like it was just cool to see, and I got to like see like the body parts of like the boy section. And there was like a drawing of a penis. It was in black and white, but you can tell it was a white boy penis. Like, getting a white man penis. Like, it was but like later on, like I remember I think it was in middle school. Sometime like we got to see like they had the sex ed and together like men and women's or boys and girls or whatever the hell age we are, teenagers. I don't listen to my phone like a centerfold. The book was so tiny, like it couldn't have been bigger than like my palm or like my hand. It was such a small book. And, like it was like a pocket book because back you remember like the pocket dictionary and like because like people I guess would need that. So like it was like a pocket size like sex ed book. But yeah, no, like it was just kind of cool, like, but like like in middle school you get to learn like like the both boys and girls, and then I can't remember if it was high school or even before then, where you start to see like the STDs and they start to like scare the living crap out of you. Because I lost my virginity like pretty late, and yeah, like it was like that kind of shit. Like first of all, it's like your PE class that teaches you sex ed, which I always think is just kind of random. It was that casual English that came out when you said said what?
Oh man.
Yeah, I try to remember if it was the ST thing or if it was
what English.
The lag doesn't help either with the YouTube comment to showing up.
Penis? Was that what I said? Is that with an English accent?
It's just very refined. Which is great though. Like we have very refined tastes, and so the penis just had to come out in the most refined way.
Penis. Okay.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
So anyway, yeah. So like your physical education class, you're learning about like the STDs, and of course they're showing you like the worst of the worst, like someone who like had gonorrhea for like 8 years, like that person, or someone who had like like I don't know what kind of herpes, but like that's just like the absolute worst. I don't know, like some nature documentary talking about the penis of the white man.
Oh man.
God. You can just hear the voice. Or I'm thinking like
white man penis.
Natural Geographic and all that. You see the natural habitat
of the white man penis in a Christian sex ed book.
Oh my god! Someone needs to make a parody video if they already haven't of something like that.
Yeah. So But yeah, like but like the sex ed classes like really just scare the crap out of you when it comes to sex. And they're like, oh, some of you have an STD right now and you don't even know. Like, I remember they said that, and it's like, what? I've only kissed, I don't know, maybe like 2 guys at that time. Maybe? I don't even fucking know. 1? Maybe it was 1.
It just
Really?
takes one
That
time.
was terrible of me. What the hell? Anyway, wait, what did you say, Toby?
No, because I was like mocking how they're like, it just takes once. It's just one encounter that could either get you pregnant or, in the case of kissing, of course, get you an STD. So I was like, it's just one time, Mel. Don't you know? Just kiss one boy, and there goes your whole entire.
I know, but they make it like that though. Like they really like scare the crap out of you, and that shit like, like really fucking affects you when you get older, and like you're actually having sex.
No, I'm done.
No.
Your sort of words ish.
It was. That's the problem. No.
Oh man.
No. I knew it wasn't to scale. At least I assume so. I don't know. I can't remember what I was thinking when I was 8. But like when I was like a kid.
Oh man.
I was covered with the cootie shut, so I wasn't too worried. Circle, dot. Now you got the cootie.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Forgot about cooties.
I know. You're supposed to.
Nope.
Imagine still being scared of cooties. There has to be somebody out there in the world. But yeah, no, like, and then like, I don't know, like college, I was still like hella careful, but I was definitely, I don't know, like, honestly, I didn't have sex until after college. But yeah, because I told you I lost it pretty late. But like thinking back, it's like, why the heck was I like so careful? And then there's other times that I'm like, yeah, none of those guys. I probably would have shouldn't. I was like, it's probably for the best. But like I'd met like a lot of girls or people honestly who would just like, may have had like 1 or 2 partners like their whole life and got married, or had 1 partner and got married, or didn't have sex until after college. So like it was like, I think that's one of the things I just really appreciate about college, that you just meet so many different types of people, and you're never really like the only one. So yeah, but like I wouldn't say I really like dated, but like, you just sort of like hook up in terms of like, or for me it was kissing. So like I don't know how many different men I've made out with. I don't know how many different men I've could have easily had sex with, because there were definitely times that were close. I mean, there was like 1 guy I gave oral to. Some people would, consider that sex. So I guess whatever. I guess I could yes, no, whoever wants to consider whatever the hell. But yeah. No, but yeah, like it was definitely like after college I started to really just like get out of my head in terms of like, what to expect. Like, I wasn't like, when I was in college, I wasn't like trying to like save myself for like marriage. Like definitely that's probably like more so like early high school. And because like once I got to college, or this really just kind of started like thinking for myself, and not really so much like trying to be like goody, even though I kind of was like trying to be like in a way like ideal for my, like, like, I guess I don't know if it was like because I was like the last, if I just wanted to, like I don't know. I guess it's like still sort of like that trying to be like good for your parents sort of thing. And like sex is always like a huge part of that. But it like, you know, ideally shouldn't be one of two, says Chad.
I feel like he's talking about the
His
oral
partners.
sex. I was thinking it was actually so that's why I thought first it was like one of two like partners. Then I think he was talking about the oral sex was half. There's a count of sex, it's like half. Now I don't know, Chad, but I assume that's what you were referring to. And I was like, okay.
Okay, so
I can see.
okay. Okay. What did Virginia's George say? I was a half virgin when I met him. From Mean Girls.
Oh man.
I mean, yesterday was October 3rd, which is Mean Girls Day.
Crap. I actually have a shirt that is perfect. Oh, that's crazy that it's right here. It's one, I've never yeah, bro. What sucks is that I've never seen Mean Girls. I know, hold your gasps of horror. And this shirt was something we got from where I went to undergrad in Maryland, UMBC. If you wore this pink shirt on Wednesdays, they would give you these apartment bucks because I lived in an apartment complex that Res Life was a part of. So on Wednesdays you were pink, and so you get the bucks and you could use them to get prizes and stuff. And I think there's a whole residential life, yeah. So it's so hilarious. The reason why the shirt is here is because of the homecoming event I went to, and I was looking through my wardrobe for like all my college apparel. And so I had all my stuff laid out. But I was like, wait a second. I can't believe I missed October 3rd. I'm so upset because I need to still watch Mean Girls, which is on Netflix. And I have no excuse at this point to just go and watch it.
Oh my god. It is a fantastic movie. It was a fantastic movie. Yeah, so you understand. I was a half virgin when I met him. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't even know where I was going with it, but like, yeah. I don't know. Long story short, I've had sex with different men. And here we are today.
Here we are.
I was like, I don't know where to go from here.
You are good.
Yeah, let the story take you to wherever you want.
Yeah. I guess I'm a low value chick.
A low value.
I mean, I never say my number. So if I do, I usually would just pick the number 2 because I think that's a good number to say.
It leads up into 3 times the chart. 20-something girl has never won.
I was gonna sell it saying, "I'll show you, Mean Girl."
Yo, this is actually kind of amazing.
Yeah. No, true. That's true. I've never seen Mean Girls, but I've always. You should just like put it like on Facebook or Twitter. Is like, anyone want to watch Mean Girls with me?
You know, ooh.
I've never seen it.
That would be funny.
That would be.
That would be hilarious.
Not
totally doing it right now.
We'll say that again, Ron.
Oh, so not you about to tweet it right now.
Oh no! I'm not literally doing it right now. I was taking a picture of the chat.
Yeah.
No, you're good. I was about to I could do it from there actually, but I have to get the context of the chat. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah, this is a wild strip right here. Let me just take a picture of what's going on, depending on the day. And no, but yeah, it's definitely interesting, right? Some things I have seen that are a little more in line with women interests, and this actually this might be a little more relevant later on in the month, but like there's certain things that women, you know, and I mean, Ellie, you've kind of alluded to this, how it's like there's certain interests, right? Like girls kind of get asked a lot when dating, like, oh, like why can't, like, are you into anime, are you into sports? And you kind of have to like hope to be a part of that manosphere interest. But our guys ask like, well, are you into, I don't know,
Bridgerton. Okay. Because it's a fantastic show. It's a fantastic series.
Boom. Are you
Grey's
into
Anatomy.
Mm.
Another fantastic series. Like, it's very well written. Shonda Rhimes is a genius. Anyways, go on.
Gracious on that, yeah. Like I know there's Gilmore Girls was one of my sisters used to watch a lot. So
Okay.
I won't give away all the things, but there's this is something I didn't even think about beforehand, but it's actually a very good there's some unconventional maybe shows or hobbies that you are into, and I guess maybe women might be more attracted if you happen to sort of have this, or even if even maybe not necessarily more attracted to you, but at least they'll be. Oh, hold on, let's just Grey's Anatomy. What's happening?
Chad.
Oh.
Chad, you take away that misogyny that is not. It's a fantastic like I never watched the whole thing, of course not, because there's like over 400 episodes.
Mm.
It's like getting
It gets
into like
good,
it's like I'm sorry, what?
I was saying it gets good though.
It
It
is
gets
like
good.
yeah, no, it's like it really is like a solid series. Take away the facts. No, it is.
No facts. Well, I don't know if I've seen only like maybe one episode. I was in college, I had a lot of bio friends, and so they would like to watch it, and I hang out with them. So I do remember there's an episode where, excuse me, I'm gonna have to refer to people in maybe not the most politically correct way, but there's an Asian woman who one of the nurses. I guess it's not really that bad to say, but this is like I wish I knew something besides the fact that you're just an Asian woman, but she's like a pretty main freaking character. And she's like very sassy, I feel like, with her remarks. Like she was very like funny. Just I felt like the way that she would talk and kind of had her sarcasm. But she slipped at one point, and there was like an icicle that fell into her. Like she was walking outside. I don't know if she was having an argument or some kind of passionate. I don't know. There's some conversation she was having with someone, but then she like slipped on the ice. There was icicles above, like outside of the overhang of the hospital, wherever it was. And then literally like hit her. And apparently she was fine. But then in that same episode, another woman who was like maybe the main doctor who was lesbian or is, but like I don't remember her name, but like usually I've seen her in like lawsuits because I think that episode or another she was being sued for something. And apparently that's pretty common. There's a lot of lawsuits going around. A lot of people who are almost dying on the operating table. And a lot of the drama of like what's happening. And there's like this white woman with brown hair. I forgot her name, but she definitely, I'm pretty sure, she was going through a divorce, I think. So she had a ring. And I remember they told her to wear it in court to be more sympathetic to the jury because she was being sued by like some athlete, some like either famous athlete or I don't know, worker outer, like someone trainer, maybe a trainer, someone who like and they basically had some stint, and so they had an operation.
Great, Chad. What?
Oh, okay. Is that actually
Grey's Anatomy?
Meredith Grey. Wait, is that actually her name? Is this the woman?
It's probably Meredith Grey.
Because I think she literally was married, but she got through. There was a divorce, and she was married to another woman. And I remember she was advised to wear this ring on court and make you look more sympathetic, even though you're basically not married anymore. And also to kind of just present your side. So I was like, this show seems a little too much. I'm sure it's a great show, but I was like, is this really like how it is all the time? Like people are just about to die left and right and getting sued left and right, man. But you said not really.
This is the first time hearing this, honestly, and I feel like I've watched. I don't know how many seasons of the show I watched. Maybe like 3 or 4. I know they have like probably like 16.
This was 2014 because this was like my sophomore year in college. So I was probably spring 2014, maybe fall 2013. But it was summer definitely 2013 or 14 because I remember I was hanging out with my friends who lived on that floor. And just casually.
I remember Grey's Anatomy, like people talking about it. Like probably back like when I was in high school, probably like 2007 maybe. Like it's been around for a hot minute. But it is like a good show. Like It's one of those shows that like you can really just like kind of put it on, and it's like a good like background show. You know, like you could just kind of like sit there and kind of listen to it, and it's like this is really just like good. You know, like it's like I just don't have like any complaints. My only complaint is that it's just a really long series, but you know, it's not like you watch it and it's just like, wow, this just seems so bad. Like the writing is still incredible. Like it's still great writing. And I think that's what makes like a great show overall. I watched 3 to 4 like episodes or seasons. I got super soapy after that. All my gay friends kept watching. That's why I keep calling.
I'm assuming
Chad.
I mean, maybe
it's
somebody.
Because that's the thing. It's like it's a great series though. It's like it's one of those things I just can't like. I can't knock it. You know, it's like yeah, it's super long, but I really just can't knock the series though. Grey's Anatomy and Jill. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you go for that.
Well, I spoke about my journey, I guess. Through puberty. So it's somebody else's turn. I'm not going to just be the one here to bear my prepubescent chest.
I'll go.
Okay, it's you. All right.
Oh man. I guess kind of similar to L, where I think 5th grade, that's when we kind of get out. That's when I got my introduction in 5th grade. We had the boys got separated from the girls. So the boys had one classroom, girls had another classroom, and talked about the boy body parts and how like don't be surprised if you start having wet dreams. Like, what is a wet dream? Like, what is it? What is that? What is that? And so flash forward to 6th grade, where we had a VCR and we had a wall-mounted TV attached to the. No, we had a wall-mounted TV. Attached to the TV was a VCR, so we could lay down and watch TV at the same time. And so it just so happened to talk about sex education, and they were saying, yeah, for boys, most boys have wet dreams. And no, it's not because you done saw one of the cute girls in your classroom running in a bikini down on the beach, you have a wet dream. No, it doesn't happen like that. Like, wait, what? What kind of sick, twisted movie is this? And hold on, it gets even funnier because one of my classmates, she actually like, have you ever had a wet dream? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
What a question.
And so that was the hot topic. Like, who's ever had a wet dream? What did it feel like? What did it look like? Like, who did you dream about? It was just super weird. Like, why? And it had to be yeah. It had to be some months afterwards. I've experienced having a wet dream, and I'm like, what is this in my pants? What is this in my underwear? Like, it just feels weird. Just feels super weird. Like, yeah, just feels super weird. And I just went to the bathroom, didn't think nothing about it, and just changed the underwear, took a shower, like whatever. I just feel cruddy the first thing in the morning. Like, no. Yeah. Yeah. And then I was having them a lot more often. Yes. Your boy was one of them. I was having them a lot more often.
Your boy was one of them.
And so my mom got worried. She's like, well, are you having wet dreams? Like, I guess. I don't know. So I gave her my underwear, like, here. And she's like, oh, yeah, you are. So the first question came out of her mouth, are you having sex? Ew, no. What is that? No.
Yucky.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's all it could be. I mean, it's good to ask though. It's good to know.
I was only in the 6th grade. Like, what in the world? Like, I remember classmates bragging about, like, yeah, I got a Trojan and I got this lifestyle. I got these condoms for Planned Parenthood. That's another topic that I'm gonna bring up. But yeah, so I'm like, what is that? It was like a balloon. So one of the guys opened it up. It's like, it just looks like a regular old balloon. Like, what's so special about it? Like, what's the point? Like, I could just go get a balloon that hasn't been blown up and just put it on. Would that be good? Great? No, it's not. Like, I don't know. 7th grade.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This shit is
Yeah.
so this is hilarious. Sorry.
Yes. In the words of Kevin Hart, laughing my pain, laughing my struggle. I don't care because this joint is hilarious. So 7th grade rolls around. I get my first introduction to porn. Like, hey, again, one of my classmates, hey, my mom's not here. Let's see who could sit through this porno and not get on break. Wait, what? You gotta, and again, yes, my childhood has been weird. Okay, it's been weird.
Everyone's
Weird.
Go through this porno and see
Weird.
who's not gonna get brick.
Like-
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Yeah,
Who can't beat this guy?
as in, so let's figure out who's not up.
Yeah.
So we sit through this porno, and of course they're going at it. And my friend is like, "Hey, I need everybody to move their hands." Like, why? Why do we need to move our hands? We want to see. Like, why do you want to see so bad? Like, dude, that's kind of weird. Already, hey, I think Ron got on break. Like, how would you know? Like, how? Be right back. Hold on.
That's funny.
No.
Like, I just totally forgot to mention some. Like, I guess it was like my porno, like, was probably like fan fiction. Remember fanfiction.net? Still a thing.
Yeah, fan fiction.
Right. So I'd always would read like romance fan fiction. For how old was I? It was probably middle school. I would read fan fiction and kind of but I'd always read romance fan fiction for some of my favorite anime shows. But you can change the rating, because usually I think I would do up to PG-13, but I think there was R, and I think there was something past R, like MA or something like that. And so sometimes I look at those stories. I was like, ooh. But if you ever seen the movie Turning Red, it's a relatively new Pixar movie. Pixar or DreamWorks?
Oh, snap.
I can't remember. I think it's Pixar. I think it's Disney. And A&M? What does that mean? Maybe. And so there's a scene where because it's about this girl who's going through puberty, but she has a special curse in her family where she turns into a red panda. But that's when she gets super emotional and stuff. So there's a scene where one of her friends, adult and mature,
Yeah,
maybe.
That's what I kind of was saying under my breath. I was I wonder if it's adult and mature. And yeah,
probably that's probably what it was. Yeah, no, it was a little naughty, but yeah. So there's the scene where she goes under her bed, she's sketching this boy at this he works at this little corner store, this convenience store. And I guess one of her friends thinks he's cute. And the kid is probably in high school, probably 16. But I think they're in middle school, 13 or so, 13, 12. And she's like thinking about like this boy's like what is like what do they care about him, like, you know, she like draws him and then she starts to kind of like him and start to fall for him because like I guess he's kind of cute. Then she starts to like draw like them together, you know, not really like sexual but like weird, like because like she's like 13, so she'd be like a mermaid and he would be like a horse or something and like they'd be like kissing and she was like drawing like these little things in her sketchbook. Then her mom finds it and like she's like oh my goodness, who is that? Was that boy from the convenience store? So she like takes her daughter to the convenience store and like tells off the guy, and the guy has no idea what the hell is going on because he has no idea that the daughter is like having fantasies about about this about him. So that's like really fucking embarrassing for her.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. But to bring it back a little bit full circle, the mom is voiced by Sandra Oh, who is the Asian woman in Grey's Anatomy that you were talking about. Yeah. Anyways, that was my little spiel. But yeah, Ron, continue.
Yes, please.
I had to admit, I forgot that I mentioned I read a lot of fan fiction, especially some of the mature things when I was not of a mature age.
That one, yeah.
Be like that.
So yeah, so 7th grade, introduction to porn, and again, like I said, one of the classmates like, yeah, we gotta see who doesn't get up the longest. And again, it's a room full of guys, so it's like, can we do something else other than this challenge? Because this is just gets real creepy afterwards. And so we leave that alone for like a couple months, and then it comes back all over again. Like,
oh god,
what? Like, do we like? Must we have to? And so I muster up the courage, like, hey, you know what? Yes, if I get a hard on, sure, I don't care. Why? It's a natural body function, and if you don't got one, then something's wrong with you. But it's in a room full of boys. We're watching the porno. What you expect? That didn't end well. I got talked about for like 2 weeks. So like, you know what? Screw you guys. So let's see. 8th grade, nothing happened. Dull, boring. High school. Oh joy. The wonderful world of high school.
Mm-hmm.
High school comes around and Planned Parenthood. Yes, the mature content. Yes.
Oh, there we go. I was wondering what today's thing had to be.
Mature content.
Yes. So, high school rolls around, and Planned Parenthood decides they want to put on this clinic of, you know, yeah, we want to teach you guys about sexual education outside of school. We're going to talk about the nitty-gritty and all this other good stuff. It's like, okay, cool, great. So we go to Planned Parenthood, and right off the gate, the teacher's like, whatever you learned in school about sex, forget about it. Don't even worry about what they taught you at school. Like, don't. Just because a lot of the stuff that they taught you was way back from the 50s and the 60s, and clearly we're in the 2000s, and so a lot has changed since then. A lot has changed. So we're going to talk about it. I'm like, okay, cool. So, mind you, it's both boys and girls from all different like schools. We're all just in here, this one building, and I'm like, this is going to be interesting because now I see all my old classmates. Now they're kind of like starting to develop and whatnot. Not flat chested anymore. Now they actually have, you know, breasts. You know, and they're not just no small ones. No, they're nice size ones. So I'm like, crap. And now it's like seeing all the other girls from all the other schools and whatnot. It's like, yeah, theirs is bigger than theirs. I'm like, oh, okay. try not to be weird in this class. Got it. I'm sitting at the back of the class. Why? Because I can, and I don't want to deal with it. So we get to talking about like how a boy's penis comes in very different sizes, very different colors and shapes, and all this other good stuff. So again, whatever you learned in school, don't even worry about it because it's irrelevant. As of right now, it's irrelevant. What we're going to teach you is yes, not one person is going to have the same size penis. It's not. Even when it's fully erect, it's not. No. So all the pornos you know, a lot of it is pretty much fake. Like, okay, great. And even then, the teacher said when an average male gets fully erect, they're going to be the same size across the board, no matter what. They're going to be the same size across the board, no matter what. So to me, I'm like, okay, that's a little comforting because clearly I have not been engaging in any kind of sexual activity because I'm so worried about competing with the guy next to me for the same girl. So I guess we're on the same playing field. I don't know. Mind you, still the weird, geeky kid at school who's like, you know, semi cool, semi not cool. Yeah. So the teacher, I kid you not, the teacher literally gives each like penis size a classification of what it is, what it looks like, what you can expect. And the girls are like, huh? Really? Dudes is like, huh, really? Like that's really a thing? That's really a classification? Like, yeah, it is. And she's like, and mind you, half of you guys haven't even hit puberty yet, so you're still growing. And for the dudes, you know, tough luck to you because the kid sitting next to you, he might outgrow you within the next 2 years. He may have a bigger penis than you.
Damn, this is like this is like some G level sex ed class.
Oh, like it took like sex ed to like a whole different arena. So I'm like, holy crap, like okay. And so we talked about that. We talked about the male body part. We talked about the girl body part, and like how the clitoris is the most sensitive body. This is the most. Hold on. The clitoris is the most sensitive part on a girl, next to her labia lips and her nipples and her breasts. And so
I
don't know about that. I don't know about that. She's been around. She looked like she's been around quite a few different sizes and whatnots. And yeah. And again, even like the co-teachers that were in there.
Right? Yeah, like the heck.
U.S. News World and Report, but for penises. Yo.
What?
Oh my
it's like the penis is gonna be the same size erection. I was just like, Go on.
Yeah.
That's different. That's different.
Yes. And hold on.
Like,
Wait.
I mean, hey, congrats for them teaching you about the clitoris, though.
Yes. And mind you, like I said, it's co-ed, so it's both boys and girls in there. And so we're looking at the girls looking at us like, you ain't touching me with your little small package. I don't care what you say. Nope. You're not touching me. Mm-mm. And,
I'm done.
and we're
I
going
do
back
enjoy
and
the
forth.
fantasy drama.
Oh man, it's so.
Penis ranking. This was a woman
Oh,
teacher?
yes,
Oh my
it's
god.
a it's a woman teacher. Matter of fact, all three of the teachers were women. All three of the teachers were women.
I mean, that
They
explains why
could,
she told you about the clitoris.
yeah.
Let's get the tuning level. Okay.
I'm screaming. What?
Oh my god.
God.
Tuning.
We've officially gone off the rails. Which is okay. Because
No. Yeah, that's true.
wait a second. Wait a second.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was somebody.
Oh man.
True, but it wasn't the fifth Hokage. Nice to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Dang.
I don't know. I kind of fall off. Like, did Tsunade sleep with anybody in the series?
I mean, I feel like Dry is always trying to get at her. I don't know if that ever happened.
Yeah.
She had a lover who died. That was someone. That's actually one of the reasons why she ended up getting out of medicine, because she couldn't save her younger brother, and she couldn't save this guy Dan, who was her lover.
Oh, right.
When she tried saving them both, she basically couldn't see blood anymore without like violently shaking and just like becoming really weak.
Yeah, I remember. She was afraid of blood. That's true.
Well, I mean, at that point, I definitely was in college, so it's not like I didn't understand the term lover, but I just kind of thought, okay, this is just your person. But like, yeah, there's usually a pretty physical implication. Like, okay, not that I was like visualizing, like, oh wow, they were having sex, and how did that work? Given that she is like super strong. Anyways,
That is true. Misha's can't. She would have, though. She would have.
Hokages have penises. Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this
Oh
up again.
man.
Hokages have penises. Actually, we do not know. We do not know Tsunade's equipment. We do not know
that. What's his name? Kishimoto just comes out randomly and just is like, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, Tsunade, here's, you didn't know.
I mean, to compete with J.K. Rowling, I think that would be kind of cool.
Literally what I was thinking, because I didn't really follow her tweets and all that, but I would see people randomly drop about how like she would just say, oh yeah, by the way, this person was gay, or this person was this. The less controversial part of J.K. Rowling, when she would just kind of randomly drop things. Naruto fan fiction. You know what? You're not even wrong.
Yeah, but J.K. Rowling being like a turf out of the fucking blue, and then like it's like, what the hell? It's like all these progressive things, but trans is just anyway. But yeah, I would be for Kishimoto just being like, hey, by the way, Tsunade had a penis this whole time. Like, what? I guess I didn't change the story at all. But anyway,
exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, because she didn't have any kids. Anyway, why the hell are we talking about penis ranking?
Oh, because of Ron's.
Yeah,
all right, because
the teacher. Like that's that's such. Were you like? Was this like freshman year? You're like 14.
Yes.
Yeah, that is kind of scarring.
Yeah.
Like
it's
like I'm happy that she spoke about clitorises though, because I don't think any of my teachers mentioned that. Now that I think about it.
And again, here's the thing. Here's the thing, because she also dropped another bomb. She also, yes, she also dropped another bomb. She was saying that, it's funny how sometimes like um black males tend to be glamorized of having like the bigger penis than the white male counterparts.
Was she
She
white?
said, no, she was mixed.
Okay.
She was mixed.
Like half black, half white, half like Hispanic.
No, she was like half black, half Hispanic, half something else. Like when you look at it, you would think she was white, but no, she was not.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Anyway, sorry, go on. Yeah.
And so she was saying, she's like, that's actually a myth. She said because there's actually some white males who have bigger penises than most black males. Then she's like, and then she said, to spin this even worse, just so we can fry your noodle while you're still in here. Like, what are you gonna say? She's like, there. She said, there's Asian men who have bigger penises than both white and male, both the white male and the black male. So you can't just gauge and say, oh, this person has a bigger penis because of the skin color. Like, no. She's like, no. She's like, get that out your brain right now. Don't even think about it. She said, because even then she said like this, she said, just because a dude has a bigger penis doesn't mean it's going to be more pleasurable for you anyway. She said you could actually hurt yourself. You could get damaged severely because of the fact your body, again, for the female, your body can only handle so much at one time. It can't. It can only handle so much at one time. And if you try to take more than what you can handle, then yes, you're going to hurt yourself pretty bad. And you're going to have some major health issues. So she's like, so before you start bragging about what you could take, just do be mindful that you may not be able to take it. You may not be able to take it. And if you do, you may have some very major consequences. So again, the guy is looking at the girls, and the girls is kind of looking like, shut up, don't say nothing. Sounds like a
either she was very sex positive and or very experienced. Like she had, I guess, different. She's had a variety, which is good.
I'm gonna say she was a combination of the both,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no way you gonna sit in here and teach a class about sex ed and you haven't dealt with.
Wait, are you saying from
like the woman's perspective or the man's perspective?
Yeah, I was about to say from having this large, or from
no,
it?
from the woman's perspective, due to the fact that what did you say? Most women, when they are sexually aroused, they're of course their vagina stretches, and saying to the max for most women is 6 inches. For the max is 6, and she said anything past 6 inches, basically you have a higher chance of having your cervix being ruptured. And she said that could be very painful to a woman, which means that if your cervix is ruptured, you may have certain conditions that could probably stop you from having kids. So she's like, so keep that in mind. If you plan on having kids, after you graduate high school, again, keep that in mind, that you do have a possibility of not having a possibility of having kids. Yeah. Oh man, that class was hilarious. It was, because even then, this is the same teacher who taught us all about the STDs and AIDS, HIV, and like how, of course, wearing condoms were the best line of protection, she said. But even then, if you are a virgin, she said that probably might be your better option because of the fact that you won't necessarily come in contact with these kind of diseases, but it does lower your chances of contracting them because some of these diseases, if you get them, you're going to have them for the rest of your life.
Mm.
You're going to have them for the rest of your life. And she said, and even then, depending upon your partner, they may not tell you if they've been tested. And if they are tested, if they're positive, and if they are positive, they're not going to tell you what they're positive with. And so you always have to be conscious, always have to be careful. She's like, if you need to, if you want to, every so often get tested.
Mm.
Get tested. So at least you're good, you're clean, you're safe, you don't have anything. And the moment you see a spike in something, at least you can go back and say, okay, between this time period to this time period, who in the world was I messing around with that could have possibly caused me to have this spike? And depending upon who I can remember, who I was messing around with, I could pinpoint that person and say, hey, I'm gonna need you to go get tested and blah 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 because of this and so forth and so forth. And so she was very, 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 very sex positive, very like to the fact that, things do happen. Like, yes, you can get pregnant. Yes, you can get an STD. And yes, some of these STDs, they are not curable. You got some that are, that they're treatable. You take some pills, you get some medication in your system, it goes away. There are others, they're going to stay with you for the rest of your life. So you got to be careful about that. And even then, she dived into oral sex. And that was a tripped out class session. Oh my goodness. And even then she was telling the dudes this. I think it was only like out of the whole class, it was like me, my brother, and like a few guys we went to school with, like back in elementary school, where we played football against, and we were all in one class. And then a bunch, like we had like um the rest were like girls, with two of them we knew from school, and then the rest of them we knew from in the neighborhood and other schools and whatnot. And she was like, so before you think about, making out and everything else, she's like, it's okay to do foreplay. It's okay. It is perfectly fine to do foreplay. What's foreplay? What is that? Like, well, if you want to know what it is, basically you're going down and then you look at the girl and they're like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Then she's like, well, then obviously you're not trying to make your job easier for yourself. If you're not taking notes, take notes. And so she basically encouraged foreplay. She encouraged it. She said, foreplay. Before you have intercourse, foreplay. She said, because more than likely, the girl that you're going to have sex with, if you get her loosed and relaxed, your sexual experience is going to be that much more pleasurable. And it's not going to be like, it's not going to be on the same playing field as pornos because they're professionals. They get paid for doing this. So again, get that imagery out of your brain. Like, just get it out your brain. It's very much unrealistic. All that other good stuff. She's like, nope, don't even think it. Don't even watch it. She's like, but for the simple fact of the matter of the experience, use foreplay. Foreplay should be at the top of your list. And then, you know, once once the atmosphere has been set, and if you want to go for intercourse, go for it. He said by that time, both partners are going to be very loose, very agile, very limber. You can have sex, and then once you're done, if you decide that you want to go again, you're more than welcome to do so.
Yeah.
But if you want to just cut it quick right there and there, well, then you've done your job. You've done your job. Right. Okay. Okay. And so, I think towards the end of the class, we had to take home babies and like kind of like be per se, and we had to get a passing grade, or else we had to take the course all over again. And so we were like, "Holy crap!" Like in the back of my mind, like, "Wait a minute, how am I supposed to take care of a kid if I'm playing football? Like, how is that going to work?"
Was it like a potato, or was it like a toy baby or something?
What was like a toy baby where you had like we had like it cried if it needed to get changed, it cried if it was hungry, it
Mm.
cried if it was just laid around too long, it just cried. And there was a key that we had to have to kind of like put it in its back to shut it off, to stop the crying, but also at the same time it also recorded if it was abused.
Oh shit!
So it,
Okay, okay,
Jeez.
that's good.
so it recorded if the baby got slammed. It recorded if the baby got hit. It recorded if the baby was left crying for too long. Like it recorded a lot. And based off of the readings that the teachers got, if it fell below a certain threshold, basically we failed. Because then it will translate into that you could very well be a neglectful parent and you are not ready to have kids, meaning that you really should not be having sex.
Back for that
People
baby.
try.
Right,
People try to make.
how you gonna be, a dad with, you're a football player and you're a dad, a single dad with no
Well,
mom.
Dig.
You just adopted a baby. It's like, now's the time.
well, and the thing behind it was, it even then they had the records to show it. The thing behind it was, if you're going to be responsible to have, yeah, grading your time, I got you, yeah, but the thing about it was this, um, from the research that they've got from actually implementing this, because this was only like 10 years new, the actual baby program. It's only been around for like 10 years. And
Mhm.
so what they saw was that most people who ended up having kids, they were they weren't as neglectful as the people who didn't go through this course, had kids, and were neglectful. So it was a really good teaching tool as far as teaching responsibility, holding you as a parent accountable for your child, and making sure that you took care of your child. Because again, even though yes, it's a doll, in real life, if your baby is neglected, it's going to show.
Mm.
If you are beating your child, it's going to show. And it just goes, and then again, it will tell others that you're not responsible, that you are very irresponsible, and that you don't need to have kids, and that you should have your parental rights taken away because obviously you just don't get it.
Mm.
And so, and again, they've had the research backed up, and again, it showed because even then, you know, they asked me, like, well, we saw that your baby was, the rating for your baby was kind of low, like what was going on. It's like, well, have football practice, and I asked my sister if she could watch baby while I got back, and she told me she hit the baby, this, that, and the third. She said, ooh, she said that may not be a good idea. Like, so what do you want me to do? You want me to bring the baby to the football field with me? Like, I have no place to set the baby and whatnot. She said, well, do you think you can talk to your football coach and see if you can have like the next couple of days off to actually do the program? She said, because I don't want to fail you, because you were actually trying to utilize your resources, but at the same time, because this is like your child, this is your project, Like, you're gonna have to make a way. I'm like, okay, fine. So I talked to my football coach, like, listen, coach, I won't be able to come for these next few days because I got to do this and blah 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 blah. And if I don't do it, I'm gonna fail. And if I fail, I got to retake the core course all over again. So luckily enough, I had some really cool football coaches. Like, okay, cool, great, do what you got to do and come back because we don't want you to fail. We need you, but we get it that this is also key. This is also important because this is a big, huge developmental step for you. It's like, okay, cool, great. So they were able to kind of get everything resetted to like base level.
Factory reset.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And so as listen, growing up in the southeast side of Grand Rapids, they don't have respect for each other, let alone for a class. They don't. And even still to this day, most of these cats in Grand Rapids don't got respect for. They don't got respect for themselves. So I'll take that. So going back, went ahead, did the class, got it done. Oh man. So that and again I passed, got a little I think I had a certificate that said I passed the sex ed class and whatnot. But again, it was very informative. Like I said, learned a lot more from the Planned Parenthood version of sex ed versus what was taught at school. And it did help me when I had my first kid, but even still, it was still a learning process, a very much learning process. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was fun. So, Toby, it's on you.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna try to after what do you call it? It's like after the I gotta go up next after y'all. So if we're gonna take it way back, I mean, I don't remember really having much of any kind of sex. Really, even education being mentioned until probably 7th grade, because that was life science, I remember. And at that point, they mentioned some point, like hear these words and basically say them. We're gonna make sure we're comfortable. I remember one girl definitely was like penis, vagina, and then the teacher's like, okay, we get it. All right, it's not a problem. And so I mean, we definitely talked a bit, but it was definitely not that comprehensive. But that was like basically biology. So we talked about genetics and all that. But I don't remember if we had much of the drawings. Maybe there was a little bit. I really don't remember when I even really realized what a vagina looked like or what it was. Because when I was like really young, like 5th grade, elementary school, I was like, okay, if the guys have this long shaped thing, maybe the girls is just like box shaped. I don't know, but it's something that just sits there and is shaped like a cube. Which is weird because box is a kind of slang, but it's not why I never heard that slang before. So I don't remember when I consciously realized, oh no, this is like.
Why a box though, man? Sorry.
Because like if we're rounded, you're supposed to be different shaped. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I thought they had something down there that was like just a different shape, but something that hung. Because basically, the other thing I knew is that guys could be standing up, women couldn't. So I was like, okay, it must be something that's not really like malleable. It's not something that you can move around. But I didn't realize it's literally it's like it goes inwards.
Hey, Rocky.
Yeah, so I'm like, I wonder what Rock is.
Rocky's up now.
And I literally just started to like you missed Ron and Elle. They was going in on their stories, but that was kind of like light, just like very light. Learn some things. I don't even remember how much we talked about STDs in middle school, but I remember in high school, oh my god. So things actually no, 8th grade even. 8th grade, I remember this. Actually, I was thinking of this earlier before even the stream started. But 8th grade is when we looked at we had gym class, like every period or every well, actually, I don't know if it was every day because we had A/B schedules, so 4 periods a day, and you would rotate some of them. So I remember gym was like every other type thing from what I
Mhm.
remember. And so I remember like when we would take our when we had gym class, we would go to the back. Like there was God knows this place in the back. I don't even know where this was, but it was like not the actual gym floor. It was like some classroom. It was dark. It was like not even like near other classrooms that I remember. So probably like some kind of locker room esque type place. Um, and it wasn't it was co-ed, so there was no separation. We talked about a lot of topics outside of sex. A We talked a lot about drugs, I actually remember, and like overdoses, and saw some pretty graphic like movies, like fictionalizations of what it is like to heroin overdose and like how it affects you. They did talk about like what happens when you get the flu or like some other diseases, and it's like so I mean it was like we talked about a lot of things that were like very less than comfortable, not usually an enjoyable time. Sometimes it was interesting, but sometimes I was like, no, I don't want to watch this. And I think the things you mentioned, like gonorrhea, chlamydia, you learn about maybe I don't even know about syphilis, but yeah, herpes. I remember talking about how like yeah, it's basically like a sore. So I do remember 8th grade we did learn a bit about that, but I don't remember how much the actual sort of penis vagina like intercourse was stressed. But I do remember that we definitely like saw, you know, we saw more things. Maybe we did talk a little bit about anatomy, but I don't remember exactly how much. Um, then in high school, now it's like more memorable. I remember we had an actual health class. So gym
Mm.
was only half of the year, so semester, which was the first time I've ever seen. I was like, oh wow. And you only had to do it in ninth
Mhm.
grade, which is crazy because like
Oh, perfect.
it's like yeah, it's like you. I mean, I enjoyed. I had love hate relationship with gym class, but I was like, oh my god, we're only doing this for half the year, and then the second half of the year we do health. And so in health class, I mean, you talk about your macronutrients, you talk about all those kind of nice things, with fats versus sugars, saccharides, but then you then talk about sex ed at one point. Now we didn't have sex ed properly in terms of like, here's the dildo or the banana, here's a condom. We never really did those demonstrations. I've never seen that actually,
Yeah, and the
to
same
be
here.
honest. Um, Outside of like fictionalized whatever, but we did talk about like what are different types of sex. So when we actually talked about sex, I mean, we did talk pretty in depth about like even like what is an orgasm and like how does that happen. And at that point, I was still pretty ignorant. I was a junior in high school, so I mean, like I hadn't really had any type of encounter. Now, to your point, Ron, I had the infamous "Wet Dream." J Cole is a J Cole song, "Wet Dreamin'." And that song, man, I didn't even know what it was called when I first heard it. That was in college in 2014, I think. But like, even when I heard that, I was like, "Wet Dream, interesting," because I had wet dreams were a thing that I remember way, way, way back. Um, and I remember when I would mention it, like to my mom usually, and be like, "Oh, like something happened. I woke up and it was whatever." And because there were times where I would mention things like that, whether it's like I woke up and this was hair, or I might say something about like my thing feels tingly, and it wasn't actually like from feeling turned on because I was really young, like probably 3rd or 5th grade. But other times I would notice like, yeah, my thing either sometimes it would just feel weird and tingly, but there wasn't anything else to it, or I'm like,
Oh,
it would be long and hard, and that doesn't seem right. I don't know what's going on. And then I think my mom would ask about like if I had thought of anything or if I had like watched anything. And at that point, I definitely wasn't really into porn or anything. But it'd be interesting if I mentioned the long and hard thing. She would kind of be like, "Wait, did you watch something or did you think of some thought?" And I'm like, "Oh no, that's what I
think of
know.
some thought.
Think of some thought.
Yeah.
Think of something." And that was so. Then jumping forward, what dreams had happened, but they usually were much later. Like they weren't common, but I think maybe in high school I noticed them a little bit more. I think at that point I was a little more like understanding of some stuff, but I still didn't know fully like I didn't really watch actual porn. There's other, things that you can watch to get yourself into that state of mind. Maybe there was some like there might have been some animated things, but I feel like I wasn't. I think I was just more fascinated by like, oh my god, the infamous Rule 34, right? So Rule 34, if it exists, there's porn of it. The infamous rules of the internet. So I remember I would see something crazy like One of them was like, was it Mudkip? Was it Mudkip? Because Mudkip was this Pokemon where that was its own meme, was like Mudkips. Like, I forget what the meme of Mudkip was, but that was its own meme. So they like turned that meme and Rule 34, and it was like this whole woman, sexy Mudkip, getting just plowed by like, just think about graphic, like just penis with just dripping. Yeah, it's I'm just like, what? And I can never find that again because I was like kind of curious. I was like, wait, where's that picture?
You're looking for it again?
I couldn't find it on the Rule 34 page. But like, I don't know if it was Know Your Meme. It probably was Know Your Meme. And I was like, where did that picture go? But there was like other things that were just like not okay. Like one was like Samus, and this is like really digitized Samus. So like an old, Misha, you're gonna appreciate this. It's like an older, maybe Super Metroid-esque game. Samus is walking to a room. There's a Chozo statue. The Chozo statue just like comes to life, and like there's a flash that happens sometimes in Metroid. And it was like the Chozo statue would just come to life, and it was just all of a sudden just like a parking brake that just kind of stands up. You just see the Chozo penis come out of nowhere. Samus's like suit comes off, and now she's in like zero suit mode. And I don't even want to say all the rest of it, but I remember I would see things like that in like high school, and I don't know if I was really getting off to them, but I was like, this is so interesting. And so unfortunately, Samus was getting destroyed by like a Chozo, and it was probably not for the best because Chozo's raised Samus, and how now she's getting her back blown out by one. It's actually not okay. I couldn't find it again. Honestly,
I'm listening.
So there was like random like animated stuff, but that was definitely not what I was really like. But I think I kind of at least visually understood things better because I wasn't watching actual porn because it was a very much like no type thing. Hey, at least you had the class. Like it's kind of interesting. Like, and I know Dia mentioned earlier that like they don't really have as much of sex ed, but it seems like they'll talk anatomy and about periods. And I do remember when we talked about periods a bit too in middle school. And when I actually understood that was like 8th grade. And then I was like, oh my God, like mind blown and like a shift on how I understood things. So in high school, I mean, kind of going back away from some of those weird Rule 34 porn things. I would watch whatever videos because I wasn't watching porn. I wasn't reading magazines. But anyway, I'll keep it very vague, but I'll say I had family members of mine who were more into like actual porn. It was a whole thing, I remember, because if they were caught, they would get in trouble. And I'm like, thank God I'm not watching it. But then I would be like sneaking around with these just, you could call it softcore, people are making out, but YouTube was like a playground for sure. So YouTube was definitely a playground. And so I just remember seeing things, but I never really got further into actually seeing and understanding how sex worked and all of that. And then high school came around, junior year, and now we're sort of like seeing the diagrams, and we have to label the different parts where it was like, the penis, it looks really complicated, but actually it's pretty straightforward. Here it is. The vagina looks like there's not actually as much going on, but it's actually much more complicated, knowing the difference, the like labia minor or major, and you have like the different lips, the clitoris, the vulva. I hope I've been saying this correctly, but the
labia minora, labia majora, but go on.
Oops, minora, majora. Okay. And so
are you thinking of music?
Yeah, because I mean, listen, music to my ears. But no, so yeah, like we had that experience, and I mean the health class was like pretty good. Like it wasn't overly graphic and some other crazy stuff. And I remember we would have these seminars outside where we would learn about gonorrhea and like different things. I think I mentioned it once on a stream some weeks ago or a month about how like there was a point, maybe a majority.
I've never made that connection. Oh,
I've never made that connection either. Oh. That's actually amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
and he would just wear it on his face.
Oh my God. That's actually pretty amazing because Majora's Mask is a legendary game. So, oh, Jesus.
Oh man, yep. Here we go.
Zelda is one of my favorite series, so the fact that this is even a thing, oh my god. Yeah, and the porn isn't real thing is interesting because I know Ron, you had mentioned that about how the teacher was like dispel this and all that.
Mm-hmm.
All movies aren't real, so isn't just obvious in porn too. I don't remember how much. I think maybe they mentioned about porn in terms of like. I'm trying to remember the connection our teacher made. She definitely mentioned how like orgasms in terms of women, like she was like there's discrepancies where men they can kind of like she was like women if they try to touch themselves in public, like even having their hand in their pants, they'll be like swatted away, like don't keep your hands there. But with men, she literally was like a man can have his hands on his penis all day and all damn day. Which I don't know, maybe, but women I guess are encouraged not to like explore that. And so she was encouraging it in a way. And she was like, yeah, orgasms are basically the best thing. And like it's not something that's necessary for sex. In fact, oftentimes you can have sex without orgasm. And so there's a whole lot of new information that I'm learning. I'm like, oh snap, okay. And college comes and goes. And I don't remember if there was really any sex ed class in anything really, but I'm not active, and maybe I'll hear stories from people, but my friends weren't really like that. They weren't really talking about conquests, so I'm not really getting visuals of like what other people are doing, and so I feel like it was kind of like and then grad school kind of was to myself, but I feel like I would hear more stories because in college I wasn't really hearing stories much. Like I would overhear a few things, but rarely. When I was in grad school, I didn't hear a lot of stuff all the time, but I felt like because a lot of the communities were smaller, especially the Black communities. It's already a smaller school. My undergrad was like 13,000 ish. I mean, it could be 12,000 something. It could be 10, 11,000. But like it definitely was usually under 13,000 of enrollment. Grad school is like 7,500. That's plus grad students or with grad students. So you're more likely seeing 6,000 undergrads. And so much more manageable, and becoming friends with a lot of the Black people. Is a very small community at 3%. So when you hear stories, it's like, okay, I didn't always hear stuff and I wasn't always in the mix, but it was like, whoa, like just like kind of hearing sex and how it was happening secondhand. I was just like, okay, this actually happens more often than you would think. Also within groups that you might not think, because one kind of cultural component that hasn't explicitly been mentioned, but when you're in these, and you kind of said it, Elle, like where it's like you want to keep yourself a certain way with your family, but especially being from like I'm sure Caribbean background, for me being from African background,
like a Christian,
right? Black, Christian background, right? And then Ron, you were heavily in church and stuff, so you're probably like there's certain things that you're just kind of expected to stay away from or not really touch upon. And so then hearing friends in some of these backgrounds, I'm like, oh snap, this actually happens. There's actually sex. And that's become even more pronounced now. Like I'm not, in school, so it's not like I'm in a social environment the same way. But when you are socializing and you're around some people, it is just interesting because people who grew up maybe a little more strict or religious and are Christian, sometimes maybe fully practicing, but then you hear about their exploits or the fact they've gotten into things. And I'm like, this is definitely very different. Because even among my siblings, like I had like, I'll just say that like with one of my siblings, I was talking about, like we kind of were talking about sex, and that was like a first for like, and I'm the youngest. So like pretty much everyone in my family, I mean, they're, if not in their 30s, they're close. So the fact that like we were having this conversation for the first time, really was just me and one of my sisters. Was like, whoa, okay. Talking about sex, whether we had it or not, and kind of like what that looks like. And it was like a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, like, okay. Even like back when I was, it might have been sometime late in 2021, because it was when I moved to my old apartment last year after April. It was some point after like summer, definitely in the fall, and a good friend of mine from college, also Nigerian upbringing. We were texting, like we hadn't kept in touch in a while, but she was talking about like Netflix and chill, and like, we were talking, but the conversation just kind of so rapidly shifted in that direction. She was like, well, we are adults, right? And I was like, yeah. And so we were just, I guess, talking about some of our experiences, but we didn't really go in depth over the text. But we talked a little bit about different stuff that I guess we were interested in or what we had liked. and it was like, this is so different because I wouldn't have imagined having this conversation with you. And then sometime it was earlier this year where we actually ended up talking, I think, over the phone, and we could talk for hours. And then I was hearing more firsthand some of the experiences she had, and I was like, huh, this is so interesting. And I would give experiences with whatever I had, delved into. And so it was still very like kind of informal, and I definitely never had a formal whatever, but like I could have more conversations with people because I had a lot of close female friends. Some of them were more open and sharing that kind of stuff. Other people, maybe I would hear it more secondhand. But like, you kind of hear certain things, and it's just like, this is so different because I didn't think a lot of people were this open sharing, especially within some of these communities, if you're African, if you're whatever. And so it was definitely a little bit mind blowing. And they're still good friends of mine who like, we never have crossed that kind of line where we would talk about these types of things. Like some friends, it was like more of like, I had some guy friends where they would be more interested in like, yo, so what's your girl life like? But even then it wasn't usually super explicit. And there's some girlfriends who they've asked, and they were very curious. Because they would feel like, oh my God, Toby, you're so innocent. You need to like blah, 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 blah. So they would be interested if there was anything going on. And I would feel pretty good sharing because I'm like, oh, this is different. I never get to talk about this. Angles meant for filming, not penetration. I'm dead.
Yeah. Like, no, you definitely brought up something that was like interesting about, like how you like talking about it with friends and things like that. And, because I think it's maybe our generation where we're just like, we're open about it, but like in a more realistic way. Like I think we're trying to, possibly just kind of get rid of like old stigmas and like assumptions and things like that. Like I find it weird if I can't be open with a friend like talking about sex, because that's like, sex is part of life. It's how we're all here. Like, so it's like, if you can't like talk about it, it's, I don't know, like it's weird. Like it's awkward if like, like if you like there was like this like one guy friend of mine, like kind of recently, like I forgot like exactly what we were talking about, but like he knows that I have like, someone who I'm just casual with, and I guess like he found it kind of like I wasn't like fully single, like that was his words, and I was like, "What are you talking about? Like I am single. Like that guy isn't my boyfriend. I'm not like I'm looking for an actual relationship." And like, but I feel like his views on, I want to say women's sexuality, and this could be like, a topic for another day because that's a whole other thing. Like it seemed to be very like immature, and it was just sort of shocking because I haven't seen like immaturity when it comes to sex in a very long time. So it was like, because like at my age, like because he's like around my age, like probably like early to mid 30s, it was just sort of like, I was like, wait a second, what? And I remember like he messaged something that was like really fucking bizarre. I can't remember exactly what we were talking about. That's the thing. Like we were like sort of like on the topic of like, I guess like dating, relationships, and like sex and things like that. Ron, speak up for the one who made you. Wait, what?
Just talking about,
I guess
sex, parents.
But I guess like one thing that he said, and I could definitely get into it like in another episode, where like he was like saying like, "Oh, go play with your vibrator," and like he kind of said that in a like a, I don't know if the term derogatory is correct, but like in a negative way. And it was so bizarre because I haven't heard that like said in a negative way probably like ever, honestly. Like At least not like in my real life. It's like I knew it could be like used as, but it was just kind of like, it's like, what the fuck? Is he one of those guys that it's like he finds like a vibrator intimidating? Like, is he demeaning? Yes.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Like it was just like how he like it was just weird because it was just like, yeah, I'm a sexual being. I'm old. Yeah, okay. Like it was just, and I don't think I've ever even, I don't know, like it was just so weird. Most people in our generation are just desperate to find the truth, so we're more willing to talk to each other. I agree. I do think our generation is more like I feel like we just knew that we were just lying about like we were just lied to about everything. Like Ron mentioned it earlier. It's like, hey, everything that you learned, forget that. And then college is just more of that. Like everything that you learned, just forget all that too. And it's like, oh, and for example, like this coming Monday is Columbus Day, and sometimes it says Columbus Day, sometimes it says Indigenous Peoples Day, because like, you know, like it's like, hey, everything that you learned, forget that. Everything you learn about sex, forget that. And it's like, this is actually what it is. And it's, but I think like the information and stuff that's like presented to us is like easily presented to us rather, is like not really there to help us. It's like we really do have to like search for the answers, and like, and it's sad. I mean, there's a lot more like information and literature and, you know, studies and, you know, like you know, like just like knowledgeable information out there now than there was even like when we were younger. Hell, like even like my therapist last week, he lent me this book called The Joy of Sex, which is like a classic book. And, you know, I just like kind of skimmed and looked through it, like, you know, for a bit. I was just like, oh. Like this book is from like the 1970s too. I mean, I don't think that exact copy was, but you know, like that's like how old the book is, and it's still like relevant to this day. And but like who was out here like, you know, back in like the 70s and 80s, like buying books and literature on sex, you know, because then you would have to admit to yourself that you didn't know what you were doing. And like you didn't want to be that person.
That's very real.
Yeah, if you're not looking for information, you're being fed information. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on saving yourself till marriage? Sex meant for one person. Sex meant for one person. Souls. So I used to believe that when I was younger, you know, like growing, because you know, like I grew up with a Christian background, and I can't remember at what age where I just sort of realized that that's for me personally. So that was just kind of ridiculous because I was like, more than likely my future husband's not going to be a virgin, so like why should I? And if you've met men, do you think they're really worth saving yourself for? It's like, like
You got a point. You got a point.
You know, it's like sex meant for one person, souls tied together for life.
Oh yeah.
Wait, say that again.
Talking about soul ties. I know exactly what he's talking about. Well, Sample, I know exactly what Sample is talking about.
Okay. Can you speak on that, Ron? Because I don't think I'm quite familiar with that.
Okay, so basically, I know for myself personally, when I got married, I wasn't a virgin. Even though, yes, I did, like you, Elle, I did grow up in a Christian household, but mom, she basically put to me and my brother like this. She said, "Listen, she's like, I understand that you guys are getting older, your bodies are getting different, and I understand that if you are going to have sex, she's like, at least wear a condom. At the very least, wear a condom." You're like, you know, I can teach you, tell you not to have it, save yourself. She said, but at the end of the day, that's your decision. You know, if you want to wait and save yourself till marriage, sure, go for it. I encourage that. But if you just want just to have that experience, like again, protect yourself, wear a condom. And
Hmm.
so when it comes to the soul ties, basically what it is each time you have sex with a person, you are depositing, taking a part of you and a part of the other person with you. And even after you're done, that person is still going to be a part of you. There's always a part of that person that's going to be inside of you, and you won't be able to get rid of it because it's there. And so because of the fact of the soul ties, basically you want to be very careful because some people they could be very toxic and that could carry on over to you. And especially like if you're having like random sex partners or you're having multiple sex partners and you're trying to figure out like why some things are happening and you feel like um you don't feel like yourself, or you feel like you have more traits of somebody else versus your own, and you're trying to figure out like why is it so. It could be very well depending upon whatever that person had on the inside of them actually carried over to you. And again, it's one of those scary thoughts like to think about, especially when you're having sex, because like you just don't know. And again, if you don't look at it as soul ties, you look at it as energy being transferred from you to another person transferring their energy into you. And so again, whatever if they have negative energy, and if you're not careful, that negative energy will spill into you, will fall onto you. And now you're going to have that negative energy. You're like, well, I don't know why I'm always angry all the time. I don't know why I'm always stressed out all the time. I don't know why all this other negative stuff has happened to me now when before, I would wake up, go about my day, do what I wanted to do, yada, yada, yada. But now it seems like I always have like this dark cloud over me or whatever the case may be. It's like it's just something negative and nothing no, and not really positive. And so soul ties is one of those things where again you want to be very careful of, very cautious of, because it does happen. It does happen.
Hmm. I never
That's
thought of that.
interesting. So what you said is very interesting around the
Mm.
soul
Mm-hmm.
ties. There's just a lot of moving threads. Hey, what's up, Gil?
Yeah. Yep.
Men think that way about women now.
So there's more men
Blake,
that are.
that's good. Blake, definitely. He's like shots fired. I think that's because you're like, men. Have you seen men these days? Now, what I thought was very interesting was is this true that the rule is reversed where more men are virgin compared to women? So in terms of saving yourself, it's not necessarily like, I guess back then,
Mm.
it's like, okay, men are just hoeing around fine and the woman wants to stay pure. But man, you know what's interesting? I just saw an episode or part of an episode of the show called Rami. I guess it's like,
Oh, Rami, yeah.
yeah, I never knew of it, but it's like, I guess Palestinian or Middle East Arabic sort of representation.
Muslim,
Muslim overall. Okay.
yeah, from Egypt, yeah.
Okay, yes, thank you. And so I remember when it was like one episode, I guess, and I don't really know the characters well enough, but one woman who was studying for the law, studying for the bar, and she had a whole kind of stress thing that happened, so she ended up sleeping with a guy, and the guy lost his virginity because of that, and he seemed very traumatized because of it. I don't think she wasn't a virgin, so she already had slept with someone. And so that was interesting because that's something fascinating that definitely should get brought up later in this whole like month series, is like sort of like you don't get to hear sometimes about these experiences because everything's a lie. And so whether it's in church or I'm sure in like a lot of Muslim communities, Jewish, whatever kind of more conservative, traditional communities, you're not hearing about people having sex and these things. So you don't think it's happening and people are just doing whatever and you have no idea. And so that's kind of fascinating that it was represented in this like Muslim space because you'd never think about that. And I think I have had some friends who have kind of told me, even if they haven't had sex, they would hear about their family or other Muslim friends. Like I have Muslim friends of mine, but they're not, I don't know. Sometimes they do talk about themselves having sex. Sometimes they talk about other people that they know having it. And so it's interesting in this case if women are having more sex than men. I don't know actually.
Yeah.
Julie.
Rocky, what do you mean that women have way more sexual opportunities than like the average woman has way more sexual opportunities than the average man? It says today. So like
I could actually speak on that too as well because it is actually true. It's been proven true through a lot of the research that's been going on that yes, more women now have a lot more opportunities for sex versus their male counterpart due to the fact that with most women they're not just like picking some old random guy. Like no, they're actually more so thoughtful as far as which man or men they want to have sex with, and depending upon if that man or men fit that category, they're going to go right along and do that versus the average male nowadays because of the fact that they and I hate to say it like this, but the average male doesn't feel valued, quote unquote, as much. And so it's like they're not necessarily getting the sexual experience and the sexual partner like they want to. And so now you're seeing these men kind of like I wouldn't necessarily say like saving themselves. It's just more so the fact that they're kind of withdrawing themselves because they may not have as many opportunities. Yes. And even again, what was I gonna
I
say?
feel like that's more so like men going their own way, I believe started when like I want to say it initially started where like men were feeling kind of abused or like just not like like they weren't I can't think of like the correct kind of word, but like so they just like they didn't really have like a trust for women, so they kind of went their own way. That's kind of how it initially started, but I believe like it's now more so like kind of incel. It's all contextual. The average male doesn't exist. The median male does. Like in the middle. Sorry, like a lot of comments just kind of came through. I've done this experiment a few times in different cities where we asked men and women how many times they got propositioned in a week and how many times they've been turned down. The numbers are wild. Yeah, like I joined at a weird topic. I don't know why we're talking about sex. Society has switched up roles. Women are more masculine and men are more feminine now. Today, women look for masculine men, and there are less today due to how society brought them up. I'm pretty sure Sample was accidentally pressing the enter key and sending the message. Gil says, to me, I feel like it's a huge opportunity for both. Social media makes it easy. I agree with Gil, honestly. The numbers were wild in the experiments. I mean, yeah. Like, so I feel as though like we're looking at propositioning sex through a male's lens, because like like we're still like we live in like more of like a patriarchal society, so like we're kind of thinking of it in that kind of way where like if a man just were to come up to a woman and say like, hey, do you want to have sex with me, or like we're sort of, I feel like society pretty much teaches men to be like like chasers and women to be the ones to be chased. um I don't necessarily think that like we grow up like men being more feminine and women being more masculine. Um, I mean, I guess it depends on how you define it, sample. I I don't know, like I kind of like it's like I kind of know what like it's like I know what masculinity and femininity mean, but I feel like it just changes all the fucking time because it needs to fit into like this structure that society, patriarchy and white supremacy has just kind of created and like forced upon us. So like I remember somebody mentioned that like masculinity and femininity is kind of like yin and yang. That there's a little white dot in the black area and there's a little black dot in the white area. So like they sort of complement each other, even though like they're mostly one thing, they still have aspects of the other side. So like like if masculinity means to be like strong, a provider, like a protector, that sort of nature, that doesn't mean that that is all that a man should be. And this is and femininity shouldn't just be like caretaker, nurturer, submissive, I guess. Like fuck that bullshit, but whatever. Um and that's not all that a woman should be either. Like like masculinity and femininity still have aspects and traits of the opposite, and it is necessary for them to communicate and to grow as a people, as a species. I believe this is just like my opinion, and just like what I've just observed and seen like what works better and what doesn't. So like masculinity, you can show weakness in masculinity, you can show emotion and be masculine, you can like be soft, you can receive softness in masculine, like that's necessary, that's needed, and that's what's missing. um the meaning masculine is very intuitive and constantly shifting. I think for everything, like masculinity and femininity, I think like whatever works for you as an individual is what should like work for you. But it's just like and we'll definitely talk about this on another episode, maybe in the next week or so. But women have always sought out like emotion and compassion and understanding from a man. Granted, yeah, you might be thinking like, there's of course there's going to be women, there's going to be mothers, there's going to be aunts, in your life where they're like, oh, boys don't cry. Oh, stop being a bitch. Yeah, of course, because we all grew up in a fucking patriarchal society, so we all grew up under you know, those like beliefs. It is our job as adults now to realize that we need to like undo those learnings because they don't help anybody. It's not like they just don't help men. It's not like they just don't help women. It's not like they don't help children. It doesn't help anybody. So, like what we need to do is like understand that like, hey, like it's okay for you to cry, young man, like you're going through something. You need to release that emotion. It's okay for you, to, I don't know, get excited because like you're souffle is perfect because like why the fuck wouldn't you be excited about that? That's awesome. Like it's a like if you're into theater, if you're into interior decorating and you're a man, that doesn't make you any less of a man. Like you are enough. Like whatever it is that you're into, like it is enough. True, but women have the upper hand in them things face to face in society. But deep down, men still have the upper hand because that's just natural. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't think it makes sense. I'm trying to understand like if it's just natural. Everyone is different. Are you nearsighted or farsighted? Everyone's approach to communicating to someone they're interested in is different. Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
sample, I think it depends on each circumstance. Some situations are more beneficial for men while others are more beneficial for women. I really just think it all comes down to just the individual. Like there's so many fucking people on this planet for things to just be like, oh, it's natural for this thing and it's natural for that thing. It's very hard because and I was literally just thinking about this earlier today too, about like what exactly is natural and what exactly isn't natural.
And I think one thing that's interesting, and Sample said this earlier,
You
know, Interview with the Vampire show. Interview with a Vampire. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know there was.
I'm not hip with that.
Wait, the Annie Rice books? Like, I don't know, like, cause, yeah, go on, what were you saying, Toby?
Yeah, sorry, because I knew you were a bit on a tangent on a thread. I didn't want to like cut in the middle of it, but I saw something that was like with what Sample said earlier, like 10 minutes ago, where he was like, society has switched up rules. Women are more masculine, men are more feminine. Now today, women look for masculine men. Yeah, right. And you definitely did show that some different points.
Right.
And I feel like it's interesting because there are like historically, I mean, you had these presidents, for instance, who some of them were suspected to have been gay because they had these like kind of male lover pen pal type people. Like I don't remember which U.S. president really famously wrote in very affectionate terms to this guy, right? And then you have like, of course, the fact that like, I mean, even the way you wore makeup and you had these kind of dress that would look much more feminine today, but like a lot of those, you know, people in England and then of course the early colonists were wearing the wigs and then the makeup. So I feel like it's kind of interesting in terms of like how women are more masculine because women also used to work in the mills more, right? That was a big thing where in the 1800s, I want to say in particular, that was the thing. Like you weren't really getting an education. You were like, you're 12 years old, great, go work at the mill and do some pretty possibly dangerous work where like you're, you know, the machinery could like probably sever your hand off or like you could really hurt yourself and you're working on textiles or on whatever. And so I feel like in some ways women were doing a lot more work and being less educated. Men were doing some of the more pompous things. And you know, but I mean it's different. It's different. It's probably a different point than what you're saying, Sample. But I feel like things have always been a little relative where like, you know, not all men were necessarily these burly, super masculine, whatever. Like that archetype might have actually came around later, but then again there were also men who were literally jousting each other on horses back in the Middle Ages, so I feel like you do always have those kind of extra shows of masculinity and then the helpless woman, damsel in distress. But then at some point women really were kind of doing a lot of physical work. Men could be, but they also were sometimes getting more education, doing things that were a bit more white collar, quote unquote. And then I don't know where it switched again, but like, and then even World War II, right? A lot of women were working while the men were going off to basically die. Sorry, but like men were going off to fight, but there was a very good chance that a lot of them were going to die. So it was like, all right, women, you have to step up and do these kind of physical tasks, possibly assembly line, you know, auto plants, whatever. So I don't know, like it's shifted around in different cases. I know there is a lot of talk about men are not as masculine and they're raised a certain way, but I'm not 100% sure. I will say though, women are kind of in more roles that maybe were deemed, but I wouldn't say it's masculine. It's just that they are, I think, going into bigger positions of power, for instance, that men typically were in, or there's women who may be the head of household, right? It's a bit more common now.
Right.
But I don't know if I would say exactly it's masculine. It's just different roles. So go ahead.
Yeah, and like I do think we gotta like wrap up soon because it's getting like hella late.
Oh yeah.
But and like I do want us to definitely talk about that in terms of like, you know, like leadership or like quote unquote like head of household and things of that nature, and like what exactly does that mean, and like where exactly do these terms even like come from, because you know it's and you know, yeah, I'm coming from a woman's perspective because it's really fucking annoying when I'm a woman, therefore I'm like second, and it's just kind of like well, why? So women are meant to follow. It's literally the beginning of time. Like
I'm like
I do want to say something that
Oh,
Sample said that was kind of interesting. So he was saying how Rome fell because of homosexuality, and then Chad said like no, that's not it at all. And then Sample said, how do you know, Chad? A man alive during that time wrote about this. And I do want to mention that there was a lot of people alive during the Holocaust who wrote about, like in the New York Times, that said that, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal, and that Hitler like wasn't that, you know, like it wasn't like something to like really truly care about. There are things that people are writing about today that, you know, like it's like, oh, don't worry about it, or like, oh, you know, we're not really in a recession, but like it's hard to, you know, a lot of like when people write things about like a certain time, like it's still from their perspective though. They're still an imperfect person. So like, you know, it's one of those things where you just have to like kind of take it as like with a grain of salt. I'm a firm believer that nothing's new under the sun. You know, like I don't think like, you know, I don't think like furries, you know, people who dress in the, you know, put on like the fur outfits if they're like a wolf or like, you know, like a bear or something. I don't believe that that's anything new. I guarantee you there's probably some sort of literature way back in like the 1300s or something where people were probably skinning animals and putting the fur over them because they really truly felt that, you know, they were like a bear. Like I could like that doesn't seem that like I just don't believe like there's anything new under the sun. So, you know, like when you hear about people like, oh, they wrote about this, and like it's like okay, like, but if you're like a professional historian, I'm sure like they read it and probably took it like, you know, like under a grain of salt, you know, like took it with a grain of salt, not under a grain of salt. But you know, I definitely do appreciate just like everyone's, you know, like perspectives on things, like because I do want to talk about this definitely, like men are meant to lead, women are meant to follow. I find it, it's like literally from the beginning of time. I find it interesting because like where are men leading us to? And why should I just blindly follow? Like I don't want to sound controversial, but like it's just like one of those, it's just like I personally feel, and it's probably because, you know, I did improv, you know, I took improv classes, and like improv is literally the blind leading the blind. And I do feel like, you know, it's like I don't know, because I'm sitting here wondering, it's like why do people always say like the man's supposed to lead? It's like, but like, where are we going? What like is it like, are they supposed to have the vision for the family? Are they like, is the woman supposed to just not have a vision for like it's just very, this is like another thing where I feel like women are just kind of put as like second, where it's like our thoughts and feel, I don't know, like maybe I'm tired and I'm probably sounding a bit asshole-ish. It just like hurts me.
okay. Oh man. To your point, because again, me and my wife, we talk about this very subject a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot, and And again, it is going to be something to be discussed at a later episode, whether it be this month or somewhere down the future,
Mm.
because there is a dynamic that's in play. And especially, we were talking about like how, the head of household, how is that designed? That also plays in as well. And again, all of that, we could put that on the back burner and
Mm.
talk about that at a later time, because yes, it's almost 12:30.
I know.
Yeah, this is different. This is like, this has been a while since we've done this.
Yes, it's almost 12:30, and there's a lot in just in those two meshed up topics alone to get unpacked, because
Mm.
there's a lot that, of course, it's not going to be taught. It won't be taught in school. It will not.
All
It
right.
won't be
Right.
taught in school. It's going to break, and basically it's going to have to be unpacked in a space like what we created as of right now. But also at the same time, at the same token, there is a more so there's a lot more to as well that goes into it. And again, you do bring up a very good and valid point, because like you, I wouldn't follow a man who does not have a clear direction where he's going. I would. I I wouldn't. If you don't have a good, clear, sound direction as far as where you're going, I'm just going to allow you to walk by yourself, because you're
Mhm.
going to walk into your own destruction. I ain't got time for it. Me
Right.
personally,
Exactly.
don't. I don't. But at the same time, that's not to say that women, yes, there are some. I mean, hidden figures, for crying out loud. Okay, hidden figures, for crying out loud. Need I say more? I need to say more? Hidden figures, for crying out loud. Just the concept of a woman was able to help put a man on the moon, but even though some people think that's staged and whatnot, whatever. The simple fact of the matter of these group of women came together to actually help get this man on the moon, because they realized, okay, if he's trying to get there, and if we want to do this, let's lend our talents, our strengths. Let's do whatever we need to do to make sure it gets done. Because at the end of the day, if this doesn't happen, then what does that mean for us? And then, like I said, Hidden Figures, they brought that out very much so. Very much so. Very much so. And I'm done.
Yeah,
All right.
it's
Go.
no. Literally, I was just gonna say, kind of on the wrapping up note. I mean, I'm gonna have to recap some of this too, because there's been so much happening, and the fact that I kind of come on a little bit late. There's a lot for the next few weeks to talk about, and it's good this conversation has come up, because you're always gonna have societal norms and kind of what is happening in society. How is it, like, are things going downhill? Are things fundamentally different? Is that changing? And we are going to talk very much about some of these norms and how they relate to like how we date, and even like hookup culture in general. And so, like, don't you worry, boys and girls, non-binary friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you for your comments and just helping. At the end of the day, it's all about the discussion that we have here. We can talk and say whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys really do help bring this to life more, and we can disagree. We can talk. Like Gil said in the Discord, we can all have different perspectives, and boom, we're still gonna,
love each other and be friends at the end of the day.
yes.
Yeah, because I mean, definitely have opinions, but it's just
That's what we're here for.
yeah. Yeah, we look forward to all y'all. We love you guys. Thank you all for coming out, staying up late with us, or I don't know, a little bit past dinner time for like you rocky people.
I'm gonna get some ugly sleep.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get some butterface sleep.
I got it.
You know, I have to say one thing on that because there was someone that was like this. There was a friend who was like this one girl who was like she doesn't have any kind of body, but her face is beautiful. This is in college. She was our year. I mean, we're gonna just leave it at that. But and she was very attractive. I didn't really notice the bodies as much. I did it, but I didn't notice if she had a good or not or bad one. So my friend was like, "What do you call that? Margarine face?" He was like, you know, your face is beautiful, but your body just is not there. So anyway,
Yeah.
all the slang and lingo will come later. We got you guys. This is gonna be a fun month, and thank you for joining part 104 of cuffing season.
Yeah.
The season continues.
Yeah. Join us next week. We'll have a different topic. You know, still a different aspect of the same topic, I guess.
I can't believe it's not Butterface.
Can't believe it's not Butterface.
Yo, that's actually better. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, but alrighty, y'all. We love y'all. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you on the next week episode. And of course, chat with us in the Discord.
Yes, indeed.
Peace.
Peace.